sold out.
We are underprepared, we're underinsured, we're under attack, we're not safe. And the current conflict in the Middle East has to be a rude wake-up call to this country.
An ex-Labour minister and former NATO chief has accused the government of corrosive complacency on defence. Well, Lord Robertson says we cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget and accuses non-military experts in the Treasury of vandalism.
Meanwhile, down under, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex kick off their 4-day unofficial royal visit to Australia, combining charity work and commercial engagements.
And from building sites to brand deals, one London carpenter has quit his job after his dog went viral and started earning more money, get this, than he was. We're going to meet him later on.
Elsewhere this morning, are single-parent families to blame for the rise in toxic masculinity? We're going to be debating that at 8:20 this morning.
And sport this morning, well, Liverpool had a go against PSG in the Champions League last night, but still went down 2-0 at Anfield. So there's one English team left now in the competition. That's Arsenal. Manager Mikel Arteta promises fire and zero fear tonight. And a great win for the Lionesses at Wembley as they beat current champions Spain to do their World Cup qualification hopes. No harm whatsoever.
Not as cold out there this morning, certainly compared to yesterday morning, thanks to a lot of cloud. And yes, there is some rain moving in. Find out when you will see the rain in your area by joining me later for a full forecast.
Good morning, it's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I can't wait to meet this dog influencer later on.
Yeah.
I feel very inspired by the whole thing.
Well, you've got Monty as well, haven't you?
I've got Monty. And he could be my side hustle. He could make me a millionaire.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because Monty is absolutely gorgeous and has already made a debut on the show.
He has, yeah. And he was such a good boy, wasn't he, Coity?
He was lovely. He was lovely. You know what? I've never had so many hits on Instagram from that picture that Stephen put of Monty with the Spurs shirt on.
Yes.
Still people are going, oh, I think they think Monty's mine, not mine.
Oh, well, he could be yours.
Well, how much? At a price. OK. You would never let go of Monty for anything,
no,
would you?
It's true, I wouldn't. But this guy, Sir Duncan, he was working, I think he was a builder, but he has quit his job now because his dog is earning him so much money on Instagram.
Wow.
He's got 700,000 followers on TikTok. Can you believe
followers.
that?
But just pictures of the dog?
Love their dogs, don't they?
And videos, and people can't get enough.
That's insane.
Wow.
I mean, 700,000 followers for a dog. I mean, but people do love their dogs.
People love their dog. We're a nation of
dog lovers.
Dog lovers, aren't we?
We are indeed.
We're feeling inspired. We're going to meet him later on.
I need to get a dog.
What time are we meeting him? Yeah, you absolutely do.
I'd love to know what's the favourite dog people have. What's your favourite dog at home? Let us know on your say. Let us know on your say. gbnews.com/your say.
I think the most popular dog though is a bulldog, isn't it? A French
bulldog. Let us know. What do you have at home? What do you have at home?
Yeah, let us know what you think. gbnews.com/your say. Now, to our top story this morning at 6:03. Key details have been revealed about the King's upcoming state visit to the US. It will include stopovers in Washington, D.C., New York and Virginia. This is all, of course, to mark America's 250th birthday.
Yes, the details include a private tea hosted by the President and First Lady, time in New York to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks. And the King will address Congress in Washington, D.C., only the second monarch ever to address the chamber after his mother, Queen Elizabeth II.
Well, of course, it goes without saying, doesn't it, that the state visit comes during a critical time in the special relationship as President Trump has upped his criticisms of Sir Keir Starmer recently.
And we're joined now by former Attorney General Sir Michael Ellis and political commentator Jennifer Powers. Good morning, both of you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Right, well, Sir Michael, I'll start with you. This is a critical time for Britain. We are really in dire straits because of the Strait of Hormuz, nonetheless.
Yeah.
It's not looking good for us on our military, on our economy, and particularly with our special relationship with Donald Trump, which seems to be hanging on by a thread.
That's right, Alex. But there have been interesting moments case in the past where the special relationship has looked a little bit dodgy. In fact, there have been several occasions over the last 250 years, and interestingly enough, the royal family have helped smooth troubled waters over that period of time. So you look, for example, at 1957. After the Suez Crisis, Britain and the US had fallen out a bit. Queen Elizabeth II went over there. She's visited Dwight Eisenhower, who was president, to smooth the troubled waters. Before that, 1939, President Roosevelt wasn't that keen on Neville Chamberlain, who we've been hearing quite a bit about, Ellie, haven't we, recently from Trump?
Certainly have.
And when the late Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth, and King George VI went over in 1939 and ate a hot dog for the first time ever, that went down like a house on fire on both sides of the Atlantic. Even before that, in 1861, Prince Albert, the consort of Queen Victoria, actually prevented a war breaking out between Britain and the United States. The US had stopped a British-flagged vessel and pinched a couple of diplomats from the Confederacy. There was a conflagration about to break out. Lord Palmerston was our Prime Minister. Prince Albert calmed things down. So when there are some politicians, Ed Davey is one of them, for example, but there have been several who've said this shouldn't be going ahead. If you look at the arc of history, a royal visit can actually improve things, and the King is a consummate diplomat. I think it'll be very important for UK-US relations going forward.
Jennifer, let's bring you in at this point. Do you think that this royal visit will remind President Trump of everything he loves so very much about Britain?
Good morning. Absolutely. I mean, we know that Trump has a very soft spot for the royal family. His mother has Scottish ancestry, and he felt a very strong affinity with the late Queen and has struck up a very positive relationship with the King. I also think that there really couldn't be a better time for this visit to take place. There's been criticism in the media about the visit, given all of the problems with the Iran conflict and the falling out between the European nations, UK in particular. But I think there's no better time for a UK monarch, a British monarch, to go to the US than at a time when things are under a bit of strain, because, as you say, Ellie, it will remind the president of the ties that bind, and the fact that the ties between the two countries go further than any two people, that they are really about two nations.
But it's not just, of course, about the UK, is it? The President of the United States, Sir Michael, has attacked the entirety of Europe, seemingly. He's going after NATO. He's going after, not just, we've been under attack for our oil, for our military, but this is obviously across the board here. Georgia Maloney yesterday was under fire too.
Yes. I think, however, President Trump really feels it when it comes to the UK, because he does have an affinity for this country, because his late mother was Scottish and was a great follower and admirer of the royal family, and he's inherited that. So I think, yes, he does criticise. He's even criticised the Pope, as we know, recently. And he's not shy with his criticism, sometimes really quite robust. But I actually think this will be choreographed, this trip, Alex and Ellie, within an inch of its life. I remember 1991 when the late Queen went, and a lectern with President George Bush was too tall for her, and all you could see when she gave her speech was her hat. And she later made a joke about it in Congress. That was September 1991. She's the only other monarch who's given a speech to the joint session of Congress. They've actually rescheduled their recess in order to hear from the King when he visits towards the end of this month. There's also going to be a meeting in the Oval Office, apparently, at the White House, so we are hoping it's not going to be Zelensky style. I don't think it will be.
No, I highly, highly doubt that. And you know, Jennifer, the President of the United States has said time and time again that he really loves Britain, British people, and particularly his relationship with Charles. King Charles.
Well, indeed, and I remember GB News was out in full force when we had the second state visit last year outside.
We were together, weren't we?
We were together, Ellie, and it was a great occasion. And, you know, Trump was looking forward to that visit very much, enjoyed himself, spoke very warmly about about the royal family. And I'm sure that will happen again. Also, of course, you know, America is in good mood because we have the 250th anniversary of the country, and there's a whole range of events and celebrations that are scheduled for the year. So I think this visit will really play into that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope so, indeed.
Just finally, before we move on to another big story today, just wanted to ask if it's a surprise to either of you that the King and Queen are not going to meet Jeffrey Epstein's victims whilst they're in the US. It has become a line that's been picked up on a lot in the media this morning. Are you surprised by this, Sir Michael?
I'm not surprised. And in fact, if I was still Attorney General, I would have advised the palace not to have met them, to be absolutely frank, because the King is the fount of justice. Constitutionally, we sometimes forget that judges that sit in this country are the King's justices and the King's judges. And he sits at the apex of the judicial system, and therefore, constitutionally, meeting individuals who are in any way connected with a potential court case could be injurious to that court case. So it's not actually in the interests of anyone to risk any potential future case. It's not because there's any lack of sympathy or anything of that sort. In fact, I think here in the UK, the situation has progressed more avidly than it has even in the United States. But I think there is a constitutional good reason not to do that. We know actually Queen Camilla is going to meet some domestic violence victims. That's been a cause close to her heart for many years.
Yes.
OK, you two, well, do stay with us because we'd like to get your thoughts on this next story, because the former NATO chief, Lord Robertson, has accused Sir Keir Starmer and the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, of corrosive complacency on defence.
Yes, he's also hitting out at the Treasury, of course, over funding as pressure grows on the government to set out a clear plan for military investment.
We are underprepared, we're underinsured, we're under attack, we're not safe. And the current conflict in the Middle East has to be a rude wake-up call to this country. On top of what we've already seen in Ukraine, it should remind us in the United Kingdom of our vulnerabilities. And there are many. The Defence Secretary's announcement last week about the activities of Russian submarines around our undersea cables highlights just one of the serious risks.
Well, Sir Michael, it doesn't get any more damning than that, does it? It's not so surprising what was said. We all know that something desperately needs to be done on defence, but this is the point of quite who said it.
Ellie, you've hit the nail on the head. This is a Labour grandee. This is someone who was Defence Secretary under Tony Blair. He has a long history and proud history in the Labour Party family. He also served as Secretary-General of the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation. This is a big hitter. And for him to come out unambiguously and pretty strongly in a public setting as criticising in the way that he has done is really significant. This could be perceived as cracks actually in the leadership of the Labour Party, because you're starting to see, I think, the early stages of a collapse in leadership authority. It augurs ill for Keir Starmer.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? This is for the government to be attacked from within itself, Jennifer, is the sign, I believe, of its sort of last gasp before the trouble really hits. We're seeing the front pages today. You know, the iPaper saying UK economy takes triple hit from Iran war, and we just haven't got the capital to invest in our military, have we?
Well, the government's really out of time in both senses of the phrase, in the sense that it's operating as if it's 2010. And we are now in a very different era. We can't afford the public spending that they've committed to. The tax increases are really hitting the public in terms of cost of living. And of course, we have another inflation bump because of the conflict in Iran. And there's just not, as the Treasury says, there's not the fiscal room to either raise taxes or borrow more. But of course, there's the third option in terms of reducing spending. And that's where we come back to the Labour government. And the reality of this Prime Minister is that he doesn't have the authority or really the capability to cut welfare spending or reform the government more broadly to give him the space to give the defence chiefs the money that they say they need. And, you know, it really was a scathing speech by Lord Robertson. I mean, I don't think we can underplay
how damning it is.
How absolutely damning it was. But I think, you know, he was right to highlight the fact that this is a huge issue for the UK for national security. But I do think he was maybe a little bit unfair on the Treasury, because he was painting the Treasury as the villain. You know, they won't give the money.
Accuse them of vandalism.
Accuse them of vandalism. Well, OK, but ultimately, the Prime Minister is the one that walked back the welfare cuts. It's the Prime Minister who won't hold his backbenchers to account
say that, Jennifer,
and say, we need to reform welfare spending.
No, I totally hear you, but the time and time again we hear from Keir Starmer that he's constantly making collective decisions. And this is the thing, Sir Michael Ellis. It's not just Keir Starmer in power, as he told Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has mocked him for this. I've got to go back to my team, as he says time and time again. And this is the sort of stuff we hear. So, yes, I think you're right. Keir Starmer ultimately should make the final call, but perhaps he isn't.
Look, constitutionally, the Prime Minister's supposed to be primus inter pares, first among equals. He's not supposed to be running this country by committee. And I absolutely agree, the speech was scathing. What has been happened here is that he's been accused of leaving the country vulnerable in its defence. There's few more serious charges than that. The defence of the realm is of paramount importance, and his rhetoric, according to this speech last night, Sir Keir's rhetoric and action, there's a big gap between them. That's not something to be proud of.
He says national security has been left in peril. OK, thank you very much, both of you, Sir Michael and Jennifer Powers. Thank you so much for your company this morning. Now, 16 minutes past 6, let's take a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom this morning.
Indeed. Donald Trump, the United States president, says US-Iran talks could restart within 2 days, but Tehran says it has no information about any new meetings.
Well, meanwhile, the US blockade of Iranian ports remains in force, halting trade and increasing pressure on Tehran.
And the Health Secretary says the NHS is failing women as new measures are announced to improve care. Plans include faster diagnosis and better pain management.
Adverts for the supermarkets Lidl and Iceland have become the first to be banned under new rules for unhealthy food. The restrictions target products high in fat, salt and sugar as parts of efforts to tackle childhood obesity.
That's a bit bonkers, isn't it?
It's a little bit.
Nanny State Britain in full swing. They'll brush your teeth for you. They'll feed your kids. Now they'll tell you what you can and can't see on TV. I don't know.
Jennifer Powers was shaking her head. Come on, Jennifer, what have you got to say?
Well, it goes back decades, actually, this attack on what they call high-fat, salt, sugar foods, HFSS. I remember being at the food regulator many, many years ago when they first started this campaign. And it just shows, I think, the uniparty, almost the blob, which, regardless of what party is in power, there is just this relentless move to dictate and to be the nanny.
The nanny state.
What we see and do. I mean, at the end of the day, banning a grocery store, a supermarket, from having a pizza or whatever it was, donuts on the television, is not going to help one child. I mean, It's just such a fallacy that this makes a difference.
Yeah, no, I mean, and also it's advertising for these companies as well. No one wants. I mean, if you advertise a piece of broccoli to me, I'm not exactly going to be enticed to buy from you. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
This is reflected across government, actually, because it's like blaming, other than the individual who makes a choice to eat some confectionery or a high sugar product, it's banning it. So it's taking rights away from individuals and imposing a moral rectitude on society.
Yeah. Well, I just want a couple of comments here, Ellie. Then if we were asking you about your favourite dogs earlier on, because we were talking about Monty.
A nation of dog lovers.
A nation of dog lovers, and this guy who's making a fortune off his dog. And Sarah says, my nearly 15-year-old miniature Yorkie Bella woke me as usual at 5:45. So pleased to see Ellie, Alex and Paul again this morning. Makes getting up early so worth it. And we love your miniature Yorkie. My Maya says, morning, greyhounds and sighthounds all the way. If Monty,
greyhounds are lovely.
yeah, Monty can grow his legs, he'd be an honorary sighthound.
He could be an honorary sighthound, but he's just so low to the floor. And Paul's been in touch saying Labrador all the way. So do keep those views coming in. On any of the stories that we're talking about today, gbnews.com/yoursay.
All right, should we get your weather?
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A messy mix today. It's not as cold out there as yesterday. Certainly across the east you'll notice a milder start. In the east, well, staying largely dry, but rain in the west is moving that way through the day. Some heavy bursts this morning for Pembrokeshire, Devon, Cornwall. That'll push its way across Northern Ireland into western Scotland. A few showers in the eastern areas, but much of eastern England I think will stay dry until later on. That rain creeping into northwest England, the Midlands and more central parts of southern England this afternoon. Either side, it should brighten up. Quite cloudy out there this morning. We may see some sunny spells and quite mild in the east. Could get to 18 degrees in a few spots if the sun does come out. It is quite blustery and gusty though, so it certainly doesn't feel all that mild when this rain band does come in. And it will get into the southeast and East Anglia as we go through this evening's rush hour. Further west, something a bit brighter, but a few blustery showers zipping in on a fairly brisk wind, which will bring a fair few showers to Northern Ireland. Some heavy ones here, the chance of the odd rumble of thunder. Same goes for western Scotland. Some heavy downpours likely here come the end of the day as that weather front moves its way up across northeastern Scotland, tending to fizzle out as it does so. Clearer skies then follow for many during the first half of the night at least, but look at the showers still coming in across Northern Ireland and most of Scotland. Showers too for parts of Wales and western England through the second half of the night, but much of the east will stay dry. And again, a pretty mild night, certainly a lot warmer than nights earlier in the week. On to tomorrow morning, and again, it's a fairly grey start. Again, there'll be quite a few showers through the day, particularly for Scotland. Frequent showers coming in here and for Northern Ireland. The showers more scattered across England and Wales. Decent chance here. Most of the day will be dry, particularly across the far north of England and along the south coast as well. Some sunny spells developing. Still quite breezy, but still quite mild, with temperatures in the mid to high teens for many.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
All right, still to come, we're going down under to Sydney, and guess who's there? The Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
It's not the Duchess of Sussex, is it?
What is it?
Just call me Meg.
Oh, I thought I got it really wrong then.
No, you didn't.
No. Just call me Meg.
Just call me Meg.
It's the latest leg of their privacy tour, isn't it? It's the latest
call me
leg.
Meg.
Right. It's call me and he's H, isn't he? Meghan H.
Meghan H. You're in Australia.
Crikey,
yeah, we're going to
crikey.
find out what they're up to next.
Oh.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the
Unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
She?
Yeah.
Should we go down under?
Should we do it?
Yeah.
Should we do a breakfast from down under? And can we go with the mics? Because you know how I love to go out with my
Yes,
microphone.
and so do I. We could both go out.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
I'll go and
wouldn't
try
it?
and get a message from H and
H
Megs.
and Meg. Call me Meg. Yeah, they're in
Meg.
Australia, aren't they? And Meghan Markle did kick it off with a casual touch. She was telling well-wishers there, just call me Meg.
Gosh, yeah, she and Prince Harry were warmly welcomed in Melbourne, where they visited a children's hospital and met veterans.
Well, it comes after over 45,000 Australians signed a petition demanding that no taxpayer funding would go towards the visit.
Right, well, Australian journalist Adrian Falk joins us now. Adrian, thanks for joining us this morning. Listen, I have to say this, like, those two go down like a chocolate teapot, like a lead balloon here, should I say, in Britain. How are they being received in Australia, where you are?
Good morning, Alex and Ellie. And yes, well and truly, Meg and Harry have arrived in Australia, and this time their arrival is a little bit different from their 2018 royal visit. This time, Meghan and Harry, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, arrived on a commercial Qantas flight, not travelling first class, but it was business class. And to answer your question, they started their journey mingling with passengers as they were waiting for the lavatory. There's been interviews with guests on the business class leg of that trip, chatting to Meg and Harry as they were waiting to use the loo. Now, it's not without controversy, as you said. A lot of Australians are saying we're not footing this bill for their security. But yesterday's visit didn't see any police escorts in sight. Meghan started her trip visiting a homeless shelter, and she was actually dressed completely in designer clothing, which further investigation from my end, she's actually become a customer and investor in a new AI fashion platform called One Of. And of course, that's been uploaded today with all the outfits that she's wearing along the way on this royal visit.
Oh, Adrian, what's this, sticking on Meghan, what's this about this Sydney Girls' Weekend retreat that we're hearing so much about in the papers here? Apparently tickets are going for £1,400 to see her.
Correct. And according to my sources and their social media, her Best Life retreat, which is just happening down the road from where I am in Bondi and Coogee, it's happening at the Intercontinental in Coogee, and tickets are still available. They're saying that the hotel has released a few rooms, so there's still tickets available. And yeah, for a photo op with Meghan, it's a whopping £1,400 nearly.
£1,400.
Well, she's got to make money.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, it's this clothing, this one-off. I mean, I think most people will hope that that's just a one-off. Adrian, there's been a bit of criticism aimed at the couple for going to this children's hospital. Is that to do with the extra security that's being needed to police this event?
Well, I mean, actually looking at all the footage that happened yesterday, they were saying that nothing can warm the hearts of these Sikh kids than Meghan and Harry visiting them, essentially. And it's literally, a doctor said, it's the best, medicine ever. So while their tour has come with controversy, the looks and the smiles on these poor sick kids' faces yesterday said it all, really.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a fair point, and perhaps if it does warm the soul, that's as good, is worth the taxpayer money to do so.
Yeah, but then I've heard the other side of things, which is, are Harry and Meghan using those unwell children to improve their image, improve their PR? Anyway, Adrian, been really good to talk to you, really good to get your perspective from Australia. Thank you so much for bringing that to us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Adrian. Thank you. Look, so many of you writing in, by the way, about your dogs. We love dogs here at GB News, don't we? We love dogs. Yeah. So many here.
Paul Jones says Dobermans are the best dogs, super intelligent. I've had 4 over the years, and my 2 daughters absolutely love them. Yeah, dogs and children, they have that really special bond, don't they? Yeah, we'll read more dog comments out throughout the show, trust me. We love them too. Right, should we get our daily reflection? I think we should. At 6:30, here it is.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Richard England. I'm the Anglican Vicar of Crofton Parish. Christians have this idea that God isn't just in heaven watching us all go about our lives, but that he can be with us in our lives, in our joys and struggles and the everyday ordinariness of it all. We say that God is with us by the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the bit of God, if you like, that can be with us. Jesus said he would send another companion to be with his disciples, the Holy Spirit. The image is of a coach or an advocate. Just like Jesus walked with his disciples, teaching them and helping them become more like him, so the Holy Spirit can be with us, teaching us how to follow Jesus better. One of the oldest prayers of the church is simply, "Come, Holy Spirit." It's a prayer that can be used in any situation because it simply asks God to be with us, to be present in whatever situation we're facing. It's a prayer based on the promise of Jesus that he's not just somewhere off in heaven. He can be with us by his Spirit.
A message of hope there on this Wednesday morning, which we all need right now, I think. Don't
Yeah, I think when you wake up every morning and you see some of the headlines and you watch the news, I think you can very much feel like it's the end of the world. But I think that's the beautiful message of these daily reflections. It's just so uplifting, isn't it? It gives you hope.
And I think, actually, our viewers rely on them now. I mean, yesterday we played it in the 7 o'clock, I think, rather than the 6. And actually, the number of messages that we got saying, where's the daily reflection? Have I missed it? I think a lot of people actually need that or like that minute of reflection.
Totally agree with you.
It's important to have, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. Well, look, still to come. There is only one English team left in the Champions League following Liverpool's defeat last night. That's next with Paul Coit. But first, if you're travelling to work or school, here's your traffic and travel update.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A55 at Britannia Bridge, a 30 miles per hour speed limit has been enforced in both directions following comprehensive safety evaluations due to persistent safety concerns. Meanwhile, on the M66 northbound between Junction 3 and Junction 2, a police incident is causing lane closures, with traffic conditions expected to normalise around 7:30 this morning. Additionally, on Northamptonshire's M1, the southbound exit slip at Junction 16 is currently closed for road management operations, with conditions anticipated to improve just after 7:10 this morning. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Welcome back. It's 6:36. It's sports time. Paul Coit is here with us. Morning.
Hello.
Should we start with Liverpool?
We should. Liverpool are out of the Champions League, so this, as I heard you say earlier correctly, there is only one English team left now, and that's Arsenal. So the last round, after the first bit of Champions League where we had all the qualifications, six teams qualified, and now there's only one left in Arsenal. So Liverpool then, they did lose to the champions, Paris Saint-Germain 2-0. They had a go, which is good. At least they had a go. It was better than it's been most of the season. A couple of late goals, so it ended up 4-0 on aggregate, so Paris Saint-Germain are through. In the other game, Atletico Madrid actually ended up beating Barcelona on aggregate. They lost 2-1 on the night, and it looked like Barcelona were going to actually come back with 2 early goals. Atletico Madrid scored, and that's how it then stayed. So Barcelona are out, and Atletico Madrid are through. And they will now play the winner then of Arsenal versus Sporting Lisbon, which is tonight. So that's at the Emirates. Arsenal went 1-0 up against Sporting last week. They haven't been, they have a slight wobble. Is it a slight wobble? But listen, Mikel Arteta, Captain Black, as we like to call him, because he looks like Captain Black, had a few words to say. What do you think about this for positivity? Here we are, Mikel Arteta, talking about the game tonight, and I tell you what, he's up for it. Here we go.
Fire. I'm on fire. That's it, nothing else. I'm dreaming so much. I've done so much, to be in this position, because I know how this club it was. I've done so much against anything that this is beauty. I just see beauty, opportunity, and I want to get it done for all these people that they've been in this journey with us, and because they deserve it, because it's been unbelievable. That's what is driving me every single day. I have zero fear. Fear I had when, if we don't get this done, this club, I don't know where it's going. That was fear. Now, there's no fear. It's just purpose, fire, direction, and conviction that we're going to do it.
He's a pyromaniac. Beauty, fear, fire. That's what he loves. That's no fear. Plenty of fire, lots of beauty, but apparently that's going to be Arsenal tonight against Sporting in the Champions League.
Well, he's clearly passionate, isn't he?
Well, you know what? That's what you need. It's a passionate manager.
Yeah.
And finally, the Lionesses, excellent performance from them yesterday. They beat Spain last night.
Come on, the girls.
At Wembley. Very good. 1-0. Lauren Hemp scored a scrappy goal very early on, and then they held on. So, I mean, they're the world champions, Spain, and we're not far behind. But then they play Iceland on Saturday with players like Katla Tryggsvadottir, Agla Albertsdottir, Hilda Antonsdottir, Gunde Undersdottir, Telma Ivarsdottir, and Berta Georgesdottir. You know how that works, don't you?
No.
Because in Iceland, you're either son or dottir, so your surname is at what? My dad's name was Leslie, so I would be Paul Leslie's son, and my sister would be then Donna Leslie Dottir. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how it works in Iceland.
Yeah.
You look confused, Ellie.
So you're your mum's daughter or your dad's daughter?
The dad's daughter. So your surname is your dad's name and the word daughter afterwards, and that's why there will all be...
Love it.
Peter daughter.
Peter Dottir. So you were Ellie Peter Dottir. So there you go.
I'm trying to work it all out in my head, if I'm being honest with you.
So your dad's name?
Mark. Yeah.
So you are there, Alex Markson.
Alex Markson, there you go.
Markson's quite nice.
There we are. I like that, Markson.
Very good. Well, thanks.
You know,
that's my Iceland
Every day's a school day. And that
school
manager, I mean, you know, Keir Starmer, take note. And I've seen more energy from that football manager than I have from our Prime Minister.
See more energy from him than anybody else in the world, and the way he was going for it.
There we go. All right. It's time now for a great British giveaway. Clock's ticking. You know what time it is. 25 grand tax-free cash. Brand new 4-berth motorhome. It's worth over 92 grand. Here's all the details.
Time is ticking on your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. One guaranteed winner will drive away with a brand new 4-berth Benivan 122 camper van, just in time for summer. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this stylish home from home comes with all of the features you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £67,000. Alloy wheels, solar panel, and pop-top bunks for an optional sleeping area. You'll also get an additional £25,000 in tax-free cash. Our next winner really could be you. So secure your place in the draw today. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Just on the back of those Icelandic names. Williams, on your say, very good. Prime Minister, of course, as he's the son of a toolmaker, so Williams said Keir Toolson.
Yeah,
very
Keir
good,
Toolson.
very good. You've got a great sense of humour, you lot at home. You really do. It's my cup of tea.
Yeah, they do make me laugh.
They do.
Right, do stay with us. Still to come, the IMF warns that Britain could be hit the hardest in the G7 after the Iran war, as energy costs are set to slam households. We're going to be going through that in the papers with Anna Firth and Matthew Torbett. Morning, you two. Chat to you in just a second.
And here's the forecast for some of our top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Some heavy rain in southern Italy at the moment, but that will be easing as we head towards the weekend. Could see a few showers turning up in Greece, some wet weather in parts of North Africa, and some strong winds blowing here too. But much of northern Italy and the south of France dry and sunny. Most of Spain and Portugal also seeing plenty of sunshine during Thursday, dry and bright too in Madeira and across the Canaries, where it will be getting a bit warmer over the next few days. Plenty of warm sunshine too for Nice and Rome.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
But in the meantime, a Welsh secondary school is scrapping skirts in the name of equality, with all pupils now required to wear trousers.
They say it saves money and reflects modern values, but some parents call it wasteful, sparking a wider row over gender-neutral uniforms in schools.
Well, in a letter announcing the decision to parents, the school said a single streamlined uniform reduces pressure on families, removes unnecessary distractions and ensures every pupil can feel comfortable and confident. This is a positive step forward for Brain Teg, the school, simpler for parents and carers, more practical for pupils and fully in keeping with inclusive values we stand for.
Oh, just stick your inclusivity, will you? If a girl wants to wear a skirt or a boy wants to wear a skirt for school, let them.
Right, this is the thing.
What's wrong with it?
This is... The thing, they're making this sound like it's a step forward for equality. Girls weren't forbidden from wearing trousers. No. Girls were allowed to wear trousers. Girls had a choice. In the world I grew up in, choice is a good thing.
Ah, not if you're a girl. This is where you went wrong, because you are a boy.
Am I?
So, yeah, well...
Wow. Well, does Keir Starmer think...
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
We know what Keir Starmer thinks. But basically, this is done in the name of equality for young women by taking away their right to wear a skirt.
It's completely nuts.
How does that make sense?
The equal thing here is to allow the girls, frankly, all the pupils, to choose... there are no words for this. I don't understand how this is supposed to help anyone. It's going against tradition as well, which is not particularly good.
This is Good Afternoon, Britain. It's GB News.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, we are delighted to say that breakfast is up for a Trick Award once again. We have won for the past 3 years, and we are so grateful because we couldn't have done it without you. It is a public vote, and you have chosen us to win 3 years in a row. We would love to do it for a 4th year if you think we deserve it. All you need to do is scan the QR code on your screens now or go to poll-trick, without the K, weird I know, .org.uk. Thank you so much.
There we go. Right, we've got our front pages here. Should we go through them together? Let's do the Telegraph first. Top story here claims Labour is set to lose control in Wales.
The Times leading story covers Rachel Reeves's hopes to boost defence funding.
The Guardian says the IMF warns Britain is on the brink of recession. It will be hit the hardest in the G7 due to the Iran war.
And finally, the Mail quotes, "We cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare bill."
And we've got some great guests this morning. Former Conservative MP, top Tory, Anna Firth, as she likes me to call her, top Tory, and former Labour advisor, top lefty, Matthew Talbot.
You are a top lefty. Someone's just been in touch saying you're the only lefty that makes sense.
There you go. That Trick Award is clearly in the bag after this morning.
Jay says an attractive lefty. There you go.
Oh, my God. 20 quid's in the post. 20 quid's in the post. Thank you very much.
He'll be back.
Shall we start with this iPaper story, shall we, Anna?
Yes. Yeah.
Its UK economy takes triple hits from Iran war.
Yes. I mean, the thing about this is, which I find the most concerning, is the fact that our drop in growth is larger than any other country in the G7, 0.8% down. So we're going to be under 1% of growth. And what that tells you immediately, because all those other countries, of course, are also affected by the Iran war, what that tells you immediately is that our country is less economically resilient. And why is that? If you have a government in place, I'm afraid, which, as soon as it comes into office, goes on a massive splurge, a spending splurge, paying out the train drivers, paying out the NHS, which then hammers business. of course you're going to end up in a less economically resilient position. So I don't buy this, that this is all down to the Iran war. I'm afraid this is down to mismanagement of this government. Matthew?
I think it's deeper than that, to be honest. I don't think you can blame the last 18 months, and people would go, we would say that you used to work for the party. I think it's easy for us on the left to blame her for everything. I suppose you could look at the deindustrialisation of this country in the 1980s under Mrs Thatcher. I think because we don't have an industry in this country anymore, it's largely service-based, so therefore there's a skills shortage, therefore there will be less jobs. And I think we've never quite shock-proofed the economy, governments of all stripes, since 2008. I think 2008 battered the world, with the bankers being reckless with subprime mortgages. I think you've also then had Brexit, which has wiped about 9% off our GDP. And then actually, I think the one that we're still clearly not over is COVID. I think that's absolutely whacked all sectors of our economy.
But I'll put this to you, because the IMF here is singling us out, right? Yeah. We are the worst hit, and they're saying it's because of net energy importing economies, right? And this is the thing. We've got an Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, who is fanatical about net zero at a time when even Rachel Reeves, Donald Trump and all the leading figures are saying, drill, baby, drill.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, that's the fundamental problem, that we have got to invest more in our own energy and import less. Because if you are importing a huge portion of your energy, by definition, you are not independent. You are not resilient. But going back to what Matthew has said, where I take issue with you, Matthew, is this government...
Don't take issue with me, I know that's not very nice.
Take issue with the
Exactly. Because we agree on a lot, but what if you've got an economy that's fragile, and you're absolutely right, we took one hell of a hit after COVID, you've got to invest in business. The driving, you know, the engine of our economy is small businesses, and here we've got a cabinet that has slammed business, you know, a triple whammy of putting up the minimum wage, of putting an extra tax on jobs with the national insurance, of rising business rates. That is the opposite of what you should do if you want to boost your economy and get some growth in, particularly if you've actually gone out to the country on a promise of growth, and here we see the proof of the pudding, no growth.
Shall we talk about this other story that's caught our eye this morning, Matthew, which is a Labour MP is calling on Britons to have a summer of sex.
God, it takes me back to my youth, Alex, a summer of sex. I tell you what, they were the days, I'm telling you.
This is a breakfast programme.
Yes, so we have to be careful. I don't want to, turn anyone off their cornflakes. And most people, as I sort of did at first, will go, do we really need MPs talking about their sex lives? I don't know. We'll spare people the details of what was spoken about yesterday. But I think there is a serious point to this. There's the health benefits to having sex, and as Brits, we're terrible at talking about two things in particular, sex and death. No one wants to talk about it. We're very prude. And I think the more we talk about it, the more you can stop health challenges in men, such as prostate cancer, for women, menstrual pain, and a lot of the ignorance and miseducation or lack of education around it. For young boys in particular, I think sex is important to talk about, because if you look at the rates of sextortion amongst our young boys, particularly those in school, 2023, the last figures, that it was up 253%. 91% of people involved in sextortion were young boys. And following that, I think it's 88% of porn videos in this country have some level of violence in them, or acting of violence, and that is not good for the corrosive effect that porn has on young people. And I think to talk about that is an important message for anything,
Anna, what do you think of this?
I think she's hopelessly out of touch, frankly, because well,
she's in touch, actually. That's maybe part of the problem.
Call me old-fashioned, but when MPs go back into their constituencies over the summer, you have a whole stream of engagements and of organisations, of charities and businesses and people who want to see you, and so many important issues that people are thinking about and worrying about. Most importantly at the moment, cost of living, jobs for young people in particular, and so I'm afraid I just don't think this should be the priority at this time. But onto the important issue, where I really don't think this is something for Parliament, and bringing sex toys into Parliament, I'm afraid I just don't think that's a good look at all. But where I do think there's something we really have to deal with, but we are dealing with it, is is the fact that young people are seeing pornography online. 50 to 60% of 11 to 13-year-olds, they believe, have seen pornography, sometimes hardcore pornography. Now, that is going to have a very distorting effect.
Very true.
And that's what should be talked about.
The thing I take away from this, we need to have more babies in this country. We need more people to have babies.
That's what I thought this story was actually going to be about.
Yeah, but it's not.
But it's not.
Yes.
No, I thought it would be about the declining birth rate. But anyway, Anna Firth and Matthew Talbot, thank you very much. We'll try and get more time with you next time. Thank you very much indeed.
All right, don't go anywhere. We're talking to a Lib Dem MP, Helen Morgan, as they call for reforms to fix the NHS. Here's the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A messy mix today. It's not as cold out there as yesterday. Certainly across the east you'll notice a milder start. In the east, well, staying largely dry, but rain in the west is moving that way through the day. Some heavy bursts this morning for Pembrokeshire, Devon, Cornwall. That'll push its way across Northern Ireland into western Scotland. A few showers in the eastern areas, but much of eastern England I think will stay dry until later on. That rain creeping into northwest England, the Midlands and more central parts of southern England this afternoon. Either side, it should brighten up. Quite cloudy out there this morning. We may see some sunny spells and quite mild in the east. Could get to 18 degrees in a few spots if the sun does come out. It is quite blustery and gusty though, so it certainly doesn't feel all that mild when this rain band does come in. And it will get into the southeast and East Anglia as we go through this evening's rush hour. Further west, something a bit brighter, but a few blustery showers zipping in on a fairly brisk wind, which will bring a fair few showers to Northern Ireland. Some heavy ones here, the chance of the odd rumble of thunder. Same goes for western Scotland. Some heavy downpours likely here come the end of the day as that weather front moves its way up across northeastern Scotland, tending to fizzle out as it does so. Clearer skies then follow for many during the first half of the night at least, but look at the showers still coming in across Northern Ireland and most of Scotland. Showers too for parts of Wales and western England through the second half of the night, but much of the east will stay dry. And again, a pretty mild night, certainly a lot warmer than nights earlier in the week. On to tomorrow morning, and again, it's a fairly grey start. Again, there'll be quite a few showers through the day, particularly for Scotland. Frequent showers coming in here and for Northern Ireland. The showers more scattered across England and Wales. Decent chance here. Most of the day will be dry, particularly across the far north of England and along the south coast as well. Some sunny spells developing. Still quite breezy, but still quite mild, with temperatures in the mid to high teens for many.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On Northamptonshire's M1 southbound, the exit slip at junction 16 is closed, with recovery expected between 7:30 and 7:45 this morning. In Luton, the M1 southbound between junction 11 and junction 10 has a road traffic collision due to ease between 7:15 and 7:30 this morning. The A95 remains shut both ways between Ouchland and Rosary for essential overnight roadworks, with timed access in place. And on the trains, there are no services on the Island Line between Brading and Shanklin. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Time is ticking on your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. One guaranteed winner will drive away with a brand new 4-berth Benivan 122 camper van, just in time for summer. You'll also get an additional £25,000 in tax-free cash. Our next winner really could be you, so secure your place in the draw today. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Key details of King Charles's US state visit have been revealed as he attempts to repair the special relationship.
Yes, the trip is being billed as a diplomatic reset after criticism from President Donald Trump of the UK's military and, of course, Keir Starmer.
But there are calls for the King to meet Jeffrey Epstein survivors, a request that Buckingham Palace has since ruled out.
We are underprepared, we're underinsured, we're under attack, we're not safe. And the current conflict in the Middle East has to be a rude wake-up call to this country.
That is an ex-Labour minister and former NATO chief who's accused the government of corrosive complacency on defence. Well, Lord Robertson says we cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget and accuses non-military experts in the Treasury of vandalism.
From building sites to brand deals, one London carpenter has quit his job after his dog went viral and started earning more than him. We're going to meet him later on this hour.
Well, elsewhere, are single-parent families to blame for the rise in so-called toxic masculinity? We'll debate that at 8:20 this morning.
And sport this morning, Liverpool had a go at PSG in the Champions League last night, but still went down 2-0 at Anfield and now out. So there's only one team left in the competition now, that's Arsenal. Manager Mikel Arteta promises fire and zero fear tonight. And a great win for the Lionesses at Wembley as they beat current champions Spain to do their World Cup qualifications. No harm whatsoever.
Not as cold out there this morning, certainly compared to yesterday morning, thanks to a lot of cloud. And yes, there is some rain moving in. Find out when you will see the rain in your area by joining me later for a full forecast.
Good morning, it's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Now, key details have been revealed about the King's upcoming state visit to the US. It will include stopovers in Washington, D.C., New York and Virginia. This is all to mark America's 250th birthday.
Indeed. The details include this: a private tea hosted by the President and First Lady. Time in New York to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks. And the King will address Congress in Washington, D.C., only the second monarch to address the chamber after his mother, Queen Elizabeth II.
Well, it goes without saying, doesn't it, that the state visit comes during a critical time in the special relationship, as President Trump has upped his criticisms of Sir Keir Starmer recently. Well, we're joined again by our panel, the former Attorney General Sir Michael Ellis and political commentator Jennifer Powers. Sir Michael, let's start with you. That is the full itinerary that has now been released. Are you surprised by any of the details there?
No, I think that makes absolute sense. And, of course, it's the government that sets the itinerary of this visit. This isn't like a holiday junket for a member of the royal family. This is the itinerary. Every hour is fixed by the government. And that's one of the reasons why they have to be very careful about connections with the Epstein groups, because, after all, the government is, in the person of the Crown Prosecution Service, going to potentially be investigating whether criminal proceedings need to take place. So there's an absolute necessity to keep the King distant from that type of thing as the fount of honour as well as the fount of justice. The judges sit as the King's justices, the King's judges. They sit in his name. The Crown Prosecution Service prosecutes in the name of the Crown. And so it's absolutely essential that justice is not only done, but seen to be done.
Indeed. And, Jennifer, there's been a lot, well, some criticism, should we say, of the King going to this state visit. Some politicians have said this shouldn't happen at all. What do you make of that?
Yeah, Ed Davey in particular, leader of the Liberal Democrats, made a big song and dance about the King going, calling for the visit to be cancelled, which I think is, you know, unsurprisingly, given it's Ed Davies, absolutely wrong once again. This is the absolute best time for the King to be visiting the US when that relationship is under strain because of the conflict in Iran, but also because of the ruction over defence spending more generally. And we see that as the other main story of the day in terms of the increasing failure, the continued failure of this government to adequately fund defence.
Yeah. We see so many ham-fisted diplomatic manoeuvres. We see so many politicians who put their foot in it on the international stage. His Majesty the King actually is a world-class consummate diplomat. You look at Zelensky. Zelensky thinks the world of the King. But then so does Trump. So Trump and Zelensky obviously can't stand each other, but both of those parties adore the King and think the world of him. Same thing with the Arab world. Middle Eastern leaders have a huge respect for the King, and they show it in the way that they interact with him and invite him to things, and he's been invited to dress as they have in the past. He has shown repeatedly a real diplomatic skill.
Indeed.
OK, Sir Michael and Jennifer, thank you very much indeed. Let's get into politics now and hear from Lib Dem health spokesperson Helen Morgan, who joins us live now from Westminster. Good morning to you, Ms Morgan.
Good morning.
Can we start with the comments from Lord Robertson, an ex-Labour minister and former NATO chief, accusing the government of corrosive complacency on defence? He says we cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget. He accuses non-military experts in the Treasury of vandalism. He says that our national security has been left in peril by Labour's failure to increase defence spending. Is he right with his comments? And if so, how do the Lib Dems suggest that we invest more in defence?
Well, I think he broadly is right. I think it's important to remember that by the general election in 2024, the former Defence Secretary, the Conservative one, had said that Britain's armed forces were hollowed out. The Conservatives left the army at its smallest size since the Napoleonic era. So in some ways it isn't news that our armed forces are in a desperate state. Liberal Democrats have called for £20 billion to be raised through defence bonds. That's where ordinary people essentially take out a bond in a similar way to the war bonds of the Second World War, to raise some money to increase our defence spending. We've called for participation in the European Defence Bank as well, but clearly there's more to be done and a conversation to be had about how we grow the economy so that we can afford to invest appropriately in our armed forces, because ultimately our problem is a flatlining economy that's left us with no space to invest in some of these really important areas of government that keep people safe.
Let's talk about the state visit for a moment, shall we? Because we've got the key details released today. Your party leader, Ed Davey, has said that the King, who I would say is our top diplomat in this country, should not go and meet with Donald Trump, the President of the United States, or do that address to Congress. Is that a little bit unserious at a time where Britain desperately needs to rely on its allies?
Well, I think the King is clearly an extremely skilled diplomat. I don't think anyone is going to argue with that point. But Donald Trump has insulted Britain on a number of occasions. In recent weeks, he's stepped up those insults, but it's happened a number of times over the last couple of years. He has suggested that he would invade Greenland, one of our most important allies. You know, we don't think Donald Trump is a reliable ally, and we're worried about sending the King to a situation where he might potentially be badly treated. It's humiliating to kind of send the King to grovel to somebody who's openly insulted us, despite, I would say, Keir Starmer's best efforts to stay on the right side of Donald Trump. He's not a reliable ally, and we should be taking that into consideration.
Whole other school of thought to this state visit, that there is indeed no better time for the King to head over to the US to try and smooth relations, because, of course, this is a very fractious time between Sir Keir Starmer and President Trump. And we know that President Trump respects and adores the King. In fact, he's referred to him as his friend. And we know the King will do the most fantastic job representing our country. So, in fact, with Sir Ed Davey calling for the state visit to be cancelled, and it is going ahead, does that just not prove your party's irrelevance, that you have been ignored?
Well, I don't think it's just Sir Ed that has called for the King not to go. I think Emily Thornberry, the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, has also suggested that it's inappropriate. So it's not an isolated position by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think we need to consider whether, you know, constantly rewarding Donald Trump with glitz and baubles is the right answer. As I said, I'm sure the King is an extremely skilled diplomat and will handle the situation with aplomb. But our preference would be not to put him into that situation.
Ms Morgan, your party's calling for a GP guarantee on all new developments as surgeries are under strain during soaring patient numbers. How would you solve this NHS crisis?
Well, when you go out and about, knock on doors in your constituency like I do in North Shropshire, the thing that really concerns people about new developments is that they're promised often a new GP surgery or an expansion of their existing one, and then it never happens because nobody will pay for the running costs of that surgery while it's only got the first few patients signed up. So those patients sign up with an existing GP surgery, it becomes overwhelmed, and then there's no business case to open a new one. And so people are let down time and time again. And I think their concern about GP access is real and credible. And so we would like to resolve that problem by saying when a developer builds a new development, at the moment they make a significant contribution to the building of that new surgery potentially. Lots of those contributions are unspent. Instead of that contribution, we would take some of that money and use it to fund the upfront running costs when people start to move in, until that GP surgery is viable, until the rest of the development has been built out. So that could be a whole new surgery, it could be an expansion of an existing one, or, you know, if there's only 2 or 3 houses, it might not be relevant at all. But it's to make sure that when people are promised that extra access to GPs, that capacity to support their community, that it's there and they don't get let down.
Ms Morgan, I really like the idea. My challenge would be that house building is completely flatlining in Britain, and actually the crisis of the NHS, where we've had millions of people move into the country in the last few years, is very relevant now. So if you're tying your whole strategy to just new build, surely that's not going to address the initial problem we have.
Well, two elements to that. So firstly, house building is struggling. This is not an additional contribution from developers, so we wouldn't be adding to the kind of disincentives to build. Because the developer would kind of reduce their payments to the running of that surgery as more and more people moved into those houses, there's a real incentive for the development to be built quickly and to get people into those houses. But on the wider GP crisis, Liberal Democrats had in their manifesto, or our manifesto, a fully costed plan to recruit or retain 8,000 more GPs, to provide funding to close some of those vulnerable, reopen some of those vulnerable surgeries that have closed, particularly in rural and coastal areas. And there are actually quite a lot of unemployed GPs in the country because the existing practices don't have the space or the financial capacity to take them on. So there's plenty that can be done to resolve GP access, but this is one element of making sure that people aren't let down when their community expands.
Thank you so much. It's Helen Morgan, Liberal Democrats health spokesperson there, live from Westminster. Thank you, Helen. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, at 12 minutes past 7, former NATO chief Lord Robertson has accused Sir Keir Starmer and the Chancellor Rachel Reeves of corrosive complacency on defence.
Yes, he's also hitting out at Treasury officials over funding as pressure grows on the government to set out a clear plan for military investment.
We are underprepared, we're underinsured, we're under attack, we're not safe. And the current conflict in the Middle East has to be a rude wake-up call to this country. On top of what we've already seen in Ukraine, it should remind us in the United Kingdom of our vulnerabilities. And there are many. The Defence Secretary's announcement last week about the activities of Russian submarines around our undersea cables highlights just one of the serious risks.
Well, that stark warning comes as Rachel Reeves says she is frustrated and angry at Donald Trump after the economic fallout from the war in Iran.
Well, Vice President of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly, Sir Alec Shelbrooke, joins us now. Good morning to you, Sir Alec. This is not good, is it? We're seeing now the government have its own insiders launching attacks on it over defence, but nobody seems to be listening. Why?
I think that let's just first of all recognise who Lord Robertson is in terms of his character. He is a very loyal Labour politician who's a very mild-mannered man and, quite frankly, a very good diplomat, which is why he became Secretary-General. So this is enormous that he decided he had to take this step and make these comments. And, of course, he's absolutely right. And Kemi Badenoch has been absolutely clear that we need to increase this spending. Now, it was the government themselves who said that the defence investment plan would be coming out last June. And this defence investment plan is absolutely vital to make sure that the whole supply chain of reaching to be able to develop our military is in place. Now, clearly what's going on is that it's locked up in the Treasury. But perhaps even more shocking is that there's actually a cut going to take place to the budget of the Ministry of Defence this year, where they've been told to find an extra £3.5 billion. Now, let's put that into context. The government is roughly spending that by lifting the two-child benefit cap. So they are making choices, as Lord Robertson has said, to increase welfare spending over defence spending.
Do you think the government will now listen, bearing in mind who Lord Robertson is? As you say, he is Labour through and through. He even says, my country is in danger, so I felt as though I had to speak out. He is loyal to his party, but he's even more loyal, clearly, to his country.
I've just come back from a weekend where we had the Standing Committee of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly, and I think that the threat that is being recognised from Russia is absolutely crystal clear. And yet everybody in government seems to still be thinking that this is something that we got plenty of time to resolve. They're almost sitting in the arrogance of the post-Cold War dividend that existed. And I'm afraid that this is something that the Treasury and its officials inside seems to be in a bubble of. And I think, again, echoing the words of Lord Robertson, the Treasury have no idea of the threats that seem to be representing towards this country, and they really do need to wake up and listen. And what I'm concerned about is that the Chancellor appears to be saying it's Donald Trump's fault for invading Iran. Now, that undoubtedly is having a massive economic impact on this country, but the Chancellor has raised taxes by £77 billion since they came to power, the vast majority of which are being spent on the welfare bill. That is a choice that this government have made, and yet we have never been so close to conflict than we are today. In fact, I would argue that the chances of a conflict are worse than they were during the Cold War, because there was a sort of mutual standoff during that time through high-level diplomacy. And may I just add on that note that one of the most vital things about the King's visit to the United States is that he will be addressing Congress. And I can tell you through my work that congressmen across the House, across the Senate, get are crystal clear that they support NATO. So it's really important that they get to hear from the King and his diplomatic abilities that they stick with NATO. But may I just also add that the rhetoric of Donald Trump is one thing, but he has just put forward a budget that he signed off, which has raised spending on European defence and has put a floor in the number of troops that can be in Europe at any time, a floor of around 80,000.
Indeed. Well, that's brilliant to hear as well. Thank you so much, Sir Alex Shelbrooke, there joining us this morning, Vice President of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. Thank you, Sir Alec.
Thank you very much indeed. At 18 minutes past 7, let's take a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom this morning.
Donald Trump says US-Iran talks could restart within 2 days, but Tehran says it has no information about the meetings.
Well, meanwhile, the US blockade of Iranian ports remains in force, halting trade and increasing pressure on Tehran.
And the Health Secretary says the NHS is failing women as new measures are announced to improve care. Plans include faster diagnosis and better pain management.
Adverts for supermarkets Lidl and Iceland have become the first to be banned under new rules on unhealthy food. The restrictions target products high in fat, salt and sugar. It's as part of efforts to tackle childhood obesity.
All right, should we get a look at your weather?
Yeah, I think it's a bit miserable today.
Okay.
Alex got the details.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A messy mix today. It's not as cold out there as yesterday. Certainly across the east you'll notice a milder start. In the east, well, staying largely dry, but rain in the west is moving that way through the day. Some heavy bursts this morning for Pembrokeshire, Devon, Cornwall. That'll push its way across Northern Ireland into western Scotland. A few showers in the eastern areas, but much of eastern England I think will stay dry until later on. That rain creeping into northwest England, the Midlands and more central parts of southern England this afternoon. Either side, it should brighten up. Quite cloudy out there this morning. We may see some sunny spells and quite mild in the east. Could get to 18 degrees in a few spots if the sun does come out. It is quite blustery and gusty though, so it certainly doesn't feel all that mild when this rain band does come in. And it will get into the southeast and East Anglia as we go through this evening's rush hour. Further west, something a bit brighter, but a few blustery showers zipping in on a fairly brisk wind, which will bring a fair few showers to Northern Ireland. Some heavy ones here, the chance of the odd rumble of thunder. Same goes for western Scotland. Some heavy downpours likely here come the end of the day as that weather front moves its way up across northeastern Scotland, tending to fizzle out as it does so. Clearer skies then follow for many during the first half of the night at least, but look at the showers still coming in across Northern Ireland and most of Scotland. Showers too for parts of Wales and Western England through the second half of the night, but much of the east will stay dry. And again, a pretty mild night, certainly a lot warmer than nights earlier in the week. On to tomorrow morning, and again, it's a fairly grey start. Again, there'll be quite a few showers through the day, particularly for Scotland. Frequent showers coming in here and for Northern Ireland. The showers more scattered across England and Wales. Decent chance here. Most of the day will be dry, particularly across the far north of England and along the south coast as well. Some sunny spells developing. Still quite breezy, but still quite mild, with temperatures in the mid to high teens for many.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, how would you feel if you were out-earned by your pet? By your mum's dog? What's your mum's dog called?
Bonzo.
Bonzo.
It's a tiny little miniature Dachshund as well, poor thing.
Oh, well, hasn't your mum got lovely taste?
She
a
has
miniature
indeed.
Dachshund. Now, how would you feel if Bonzo was out-earning you?
Do you know what? I'd be quite happy for him.
I'd be delighted.
Because I don't think Bonzo's got a bank account, so he might do. He might do, for all I know.
It'd end up in your bank account, maybe.
That'd be nice.
If Monty were to out-earn me, I'd be delighted. He's very welcome to.
Yeah, gorgeous dog,
Lovely.
Monty. If you haven't seen Monty, you have to check Monty. He's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm biased, but I do think he's the most beautiful boy in the world.
think
Anyway,
he
we're going to be meeting a former carpenter next who has quit his job as a carpenter because his dog is earning him so much money. It's an incredible story. We're
It
gonna meet
is.
him next.
And what we want to see is you writing in your favourite dogs. If you've got a dog at home, what are the names of your dog? What are the breeds? We'd love to see that on gbnews.com/yoursay.
Yeah, we're going to share as many as we can throughout the programme. That's up next.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, well, you probably thought you'd never see the day where a pet could not only earn a salary, but one that's higher than its owners.
Yes, but it has happened to Duncan Tout, who decided one day to quit his job as a carpenter after his dog TJ's social media account went viral.
Well, Tout originally set the account up to mark memories, but realised the page was bringing in more money, get this, than he was earning.
Well, let's speak to Duncan now. Morning to you, Duncan. And
Hey guys, how you doing?
Oh, hi! You've got your dog there with you, haven't you? So introduce us to your lovely dog and tell us how you think he went viral.
Yeah, so this is TJ here. He's just still sleeping. He's not used to getting up this early.
Oh, we don't blame him.
No, neither am I.
A little puppy Tato as well. Who's only
Hello.
2 weeks old.
Is that Potato, did you say, Duncan?
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Great name, great name.
So we've only had her for 2 weeks, but they're getting on great now. But yeah, TJ just has absolutely no idea sort of how famous he is, which is hilarious.
So how did you get started, Duncan?
So when we got him, I just wanted to have a sort of a collection of all of my memories. And you know how it is when you take all your photos on your phone and they're kind of just lost after a couple of years. So I thought, I'm going to start an Instagram. I'm just going to post everything there and I'm going to have all these memories. And before you knew it, sort of some of the videos going viral, he was swimming, which is quite uncommon for a French bulldog. We took him surfing. We would take him everywhere we go. And people just really related with it and just loved it. Loved seeing all the adventures he gets up to. We do like a cooking show every week as well, where we'll cook different sort of human foods for dogs. And people absolutely love that. So, yeah, people just love following along with all the adventures and everything he gets up to.
And Duncan, British people love their dogs. I mean, look at that. That is absolutely phenomenal. How do you capture this content? Because your photos are absolutely stunning. I'm guessing you're a professional photographer in another life?
No. It's been a lot of learning on the job. I started out with just sort of my iPhone, and I've slowly sort of built it up. Got a proper camera for photos now and videos. But yeah, it's very much just just starting from nothing really and having to learn on the job.
So Duncan, at what point did you decide I'm going to quit my job as a carpenter because my dog is making me so much money?
Yeah, so it was last January or maybe the December just before. I was just working all the hours under the sun. I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning, going into London, doing a day's work, trying to sort of edit dog content on my lunch hour, and sort of in the evenings when I got home. I play semi-professional rugby as well, so I'd be rugby training in the evening. So I'd be editing dog videos till about 12 o'clock at night, and then it'd be getting up at 5:30 in the morning, going again. And it got to the point where I was, all of a sudden, I was like, hang on a minute, with some of these brand deals, I'm making more within the few hours that I'm doing dog content than I am from going to work. Wow. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to make the jump.
Wow.
And that was January last year. And that first month was really good because we got a brand deal with P&O Ferries, and we took TJ over to Paris.
Brilliant.
And it couldn't have been a better start, really.
I love it. TJ in Paris. It sounds like a Netflix show. Duncan, what point did you realise you were really onto something here? Was it like a boost, a massive engagement with followers all of a sudden? What was the moment you said, right, well, that's it, I'm quitting my job?
So it sort of slowly built through. I mean, we had quite a lot of virality, but it's then how do you get the stability of, your income? I've got a mortgage to pay and things like that. And also last year we were getting married and we're planning on moving house. So it wasn't really the best year to go into something that's so sort of volatile, because you have your good months, you have your bad months. But yeah, it was just a few sort of brand deals all landed at once. And I thought, you know what, if I can just carry this on, if I give myself more time to sort of focus on it, hopefully I can make it work. And it has worked. So it's been great. And it means I get to spend so much more time with TJ as well. So he loves it and we get to do a lot of fun things.
That is the most important thing at the end of the day, isn't it? He's living the life, aren't you all? Yeah. TJ, Tato and Duncan, really good to chat to you all this morning. And hopefully they wake up soon and realise they've been on national television.
Yeah, famous, so famous. Duncan, brilliant stuff.
Yeah, show them back later.
A treat for them later, definitely. We've got some amazing...
Duncan.
Thank you, Duncan. We've got some amazing comments coming in here. Sarah says, I have a golden Irish puppy called Ruby, cross between a golden retriever and an Irish setter. Ooh. She's an adorable if naughty. Our dog is... Chell says, our dog is 18. He's a Shih Tzu cross with a Jack Russell. He's our wee buster. Good morning, Alex and Ellie. We've got so many. We'll try and read some more out throughout the show. Keep them coming in. We love it.
In the meantime, talking about money, but it's not through being a dog influencer, I'm afraid. It is the Great British Giveaway. It's still very good. 25 grand in tax-free cash and a 4-berth motorhome. That's the prize. It's a goodie. Here are all of the details that you need.
Take your dog.
Yeah, take your dog.
Make sure you don't miss out on your chance to win big. One guaranteed winner will drive away with a brand new 4-berth Benivan 122 camper van, just in time for summer. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this stylish home from home comes with all of the features you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £67,000. Alloy wheels, solar panel and pop-top bunks for an optional sleeping area. You'll also get an additional £25,000 in tax-free cash. Our next winner really could be you. So secure your place in the draw today. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, coming up, there's only one English team left in the Champions League following Liverpool's defeat last night. That's with Paul Coyte next.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Roadworks on the A55 at Britannia Bridge have enforced a permanent 30 miles per hour speed limit in both directions, restricting 3 lanes, which is leading to significant travel delays for commuters. Additionally, in Northamptonshire, the M1 southbound exit slip at junction 16 continues to be closed for essential road management works, with hopes for the resumption of normal traffic conditions projected between 8:45 and 9 o'clock this morning. Meanwhile, train services on the Island Line are currently suspended between Brading and Shanklin, affecting public transit schedules. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's sports time. Paul Coates here with us. Morning.
Good morning. Paul.
Should we start with Liverpool?
Let's start with Liverpool in the Champions League. Liverpool are out of the Champions League now. They lost to Paris Saint-Germain 2-0. Anfield, 2 late goals. They had a go. I mean, that's, you can't ask anyone. They had a go.
Have a go.
But, you know, they haven't been great this season, so 4-0 on aggregate. Arne Slot, the manager of Liverpool. Does he see positives? Let's hear what he had to say after the game.
Of course, we are very disappointed because I think there were parts in the second half where you could just feel if we can score now, this is going to become a special night. And but the future looks very bright for this team, for this club, because we've shown that we can compete with the champions of Europe in our stadium. To be the dominant team, not many teams can be dominant against Paris Saint-Germain and generate so many chances as we did. But yeah, chances is one thing, scoring is a second.
See, the thing is, he said, show that we can compete with the champions of Europe. They're the champions of England. They should be able to compete. It shouldn't be a problem. But anyway, they haven't played as well as they would have hoped this season. Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. Now, Barcelona won 2-1 at Atletico Madrid, but Atletico go through because Barcelona scored twice very early, and you're thinking it looks like it's going to be Barcelona. But Atletico Madrid went through. But there was a very nasty injury. Now, look, I'm going to show you something. Your squeamish with stuff.
Depends on what
There's no blood, although there was afterwards, but not in the picture.
Oh, let's have a look.
Now, have a look at this picture here. For those on the radio, I'll try and explain it to you. Look at Barcelona's Fermín López. If you're listening to the radio, all you hear is Fermín López was kicked in the face by Juan Musso, who is the goalkeeper for Atletico, as he ran in. Look at that. There are studs
in his face.
right up the nose.
Yeah. That's got to hurt.
That's got to really hurt.
Now, you'd think most football players these days, you know, you just catch them on the elbow and they'll roll around on the floor for a while. He played on.
Did he really?
He played on. Little
Good
bandage around there, things stuffed up the nose, and he was absolutely fine.
It wasn't deliberate, I'm guessing.
No, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. Usually, something like that, you think, hang on. But no, it absolutely was a nasty collision. So it was a nasty collision. Foot on nose. So it wasn't so good. Now, they will play the winner then of Arsenal against Sporting Lisbon, or Sporting as they're called, but they're from Lisbon, so we know. So currently it's 1-0 to Arsenal. It's at the Emirates tonight. Arsenal lost to Bournemouth. They lost to Manchester City, and they were going for the title, and it's maybe getting a little wobbly. Are they nervous? But I tell you who doesn't seem to be nervous is Mikel Arteta, the manager. Now, I don't know whether he's just trying to overcome the nerves, but he seems very confident and I've never seen him like this. Here's Mikel Arteta.
Fire. I'm on fire. That's it, nothing else. I'm dreaming so much. I've done so much, you know, to be in this position, because I know how this club it was. I've done so much against anything that this is beauty. I just see beauty, opportunity, and yeah, I want to get it done for all these people that they've been in this journey with us, and because they deserve it, because it's been unbelievable. That's what is driving me every single day. I have zero fear. Fear I had when, if we don't get this done, this club, I don't know where it's going. That was fear. Now, there's no fear. It's just purpose, fire, direction, and conviction that we're going to do it.
So no fear. It's just fire.
Fire.
Fire, no fear.
Very passionate.
Which is the way I like to live my life, you know. I'm all fire and no fear. Or is it the other way around? Finally, England, the Lionesses, great result against Spain. They won 1-0 last night in the qualification for the World Cup, so they play Iceland next. Mary Earps, you know Mary Earps, the goalkeeper?
Star.
Exactly, Sports Personality of the Year, but then she brought this book out, didn't she? Earlier on, around Christmas time, had a go at Serena Wiegmann, and it was like, and then she'd lost a lot of fans because of what she'd said, tried to come back and then apologise and try and explain what she'd said. But anyway, it all went down very well. She got an award. Let's see this. This is the award. And there we are. There it is. And that's on the pitch at Wembley. She was awarded there with a goalkeeper jersey with 53, which is how many books she's actually sold up to date. There. So there we are. There's Mary Earps yesterday. So congratulations to her.
Congratulations.
Indeed.
Thanks, Coity.
Pleasure.
All right, still to come, a man has lost his job twice to AI.
We're going to find out more with Anna Firth and Matthew Talbot. They're going through the papers with us next morning, you two.
First, we're going to get your weather.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Some heavy rain in southern Italy at the moment, but that will be easing as we head towards the weekend. Could see a few showers turning up in Greece, some wet weather in parts of North Africa, and some strong winds blowing here too. But much of northern Italy and the south of France dry and sunny. Most of Spain and Portugal also seeing plenty of sunshine during Thursday. Dry and bright too in Madeira and across the Canaries, where it will be getting a bit warmer over the next few days. Plenty of warm sunshine too for Nice and Rome.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Bin collections are changing. Under the Simpler Recycling initiative, households in England will have 4 bins to make it easier to separate waste. In North Yorkshire, the council's already started rolling out the government mandate.
We've collect paper and cardboard separate, then we've got glass cans, plastic and all other recyclables in another bin, and then finally our general waste bin. And the idea is just by separating them, they're actually more valuable to us as an authority, and they're also more usable in the recycling industry. Good quality recyclates, they have a higher value, and therefore we can sell them for more, so therefore in theory we shouldn't have to put your council tax up, or we can spend that elsewhere on other things, potholes or wherever else it is.
Northallerton resident David Toon sees the benefit of recycling, but is apprehensive of the new scheme.
I see it as being a lot more faff, and I just think that whether it'll achieve anything, time will tell. If it works out, all well and good, you know. If it's not another different day, if it's all done, if it's not another day, so you have to remember to put this out that day, and if they keep them together, it helps.
I've got no problem with splitting up recycling, but how many bins are you going to have? And then remembering which bins go out on which day.
I'm not up for another bin. I talk a lot of rubbish, but I'm not up for another bin.
With a new universal standard of recycling being implemented in every region, bin day should now be a breeze. But make sure to check what can and can't go in the rubbish or face a costly fine. Anna Riley, GB News, Northallerton.
GB News, the People's Channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome
if you're
back.
proved
We're
right.
going through the papers with former Conservative MP Anna Firth and former Labour advisor Matthew Torbett. Morning, you two.
Morning.
But Matthew,
Morning.
let's start with you, shall we? And the Daily Mail front page, in fact, many of the front pages today, the extraordinary speech last night from Lord Robertson, saying that national security has been left in peril by Labour's failure to increase defence spending. We need to talk about who Lord Robertson is.
Yeah, so he's former Secretary
this.
General of NATO. George knows what he's on about. I've worked with him on issues with regards to Kosovo and the Balkans. He was one of the men that, I think he was Defence Secretary or Defence Minister at the time, where we made the decision to go and help in Kosovo at the time during Tony Blair's era. He's a man that is also very loyal to the Labour Party and has been very loyal to Keir Starmer, so it will have taken a lot for him to go, I now have to say something. I believe that's what he's told friends, that he can't sit on this any longer. And if I'm honest, I can't disagree with him. It has seemed inevitable, you know, it seems fairly obvious and has done for a while now. War appears to be inevitable, and I am worried about our lack of preparedness because, and I say this all the time, it's one thing, bullets and bombs, and that is absolutely a part of war. We seem to hear about cybersecurity hacks every other week with regards to supermarkets in this country, with car manufacturers, and all it takes is somebody to attack your transport network or your food supply chains. We've seen it potentially elsewhere in 2020 using biochemical weapons and infiltrating things that way.
I think, didn't we, as well, some sort of attacks?
And it causes chaos, and I don't think we're prepared for any of that, it seems. And the welfare bill is going to be the sticking point of this Parliament. I think you're going to have a lot of soft left Labour MPs that aren't going to want to give in. Their natural instinct is to protect those on welfare and those that they feel are vulnerable. There is definitely an element of either overdiagnosis or people, and I speak as someone that, listen, struggles with his own mental health. I've been depressed out of work and I've been depressed in work, and I know I'm much better in work because you're a hell of a lot worse off without any money or routine. And I think we need to be getting to a point where we're only letting the most extreme cases of people with mental health issues claim, and the money that is saved you could totally put towards talking therapy. I think there's about £1 billion you could put towards 100,000 talking therapy sessions across this country, and I think he's spot on.
Yeah, sticking on the theme of defence here, Anna, because it's, of course, Robertson is saying similar things that Blair said just a few weeks ago. He was criticising Keir Starmer for not supporting Donald Trump. Donald Trump has constantly attacked Britain since then, and the Prime Minister, called him Neville Chamberlain. And the PM, rather than sort of getting involved in this blockade, has decided to join up with Emmanuel Macron and say, we're going to go and try and help this ceasefire. Nobody's listening to them. We should be preparing for war, shouldn't we?
If you have sat on the sidelines and you have not even let your biggest ally use your bases, I'm not talking about getting involved in strikes, but if you have sat on the sidelines, then I'm afraid no one is going to listen to you once the game has got underway. So I think we can forget what Starmer's doing and his role. But what's and on the point of Tony Blair, you know, we do have to remember with Tony Blair that defence spending was 3% of GDP before Tony Blair came into power, and one of the first things he did was put it down to 2.5%. So I can't take him too seriously. The peace dividend. But what is serious is what is it Lord Robertson? Is he Sir or Lord? Lord Robertson has said. I mean, underfunded, underprepared, and under attack, and he's bang on. Now, this government couldn't even get £5 billion of welfare savings through the Commons. So I'm afraid any idea that they're actually going to come up with spending on defence is for the birds. Now, if they hadn't scrapped the 2-child benefit cap, that would immediately have given us an extra £3 billion. That's 5% of the current defence budget. So that would have been the first significant amount of money that we could put into defence. And you know, to be fair to the Conservatives, they have got a plan to save 20 billion from welfare, and this is showing us that we've got to defend. We've got to put the money into our army. A nation that can't defend itself is a nation which, I'm afraid, is not on a path to being a successful global power.
On that final point, though, I cannot welcome an arsonist because they're carrying a bucket of water. It was under the Conservatives who cut the army numbers. We now have an army that could fit inside Wembley Stadium, and it is the smallest since the Napoleonic War. That's where I can't listen to, we've got a plan now, because why wasn't it done in the first place? And in fact, we've gone the opposite way.
Is the message you're not both telling us that the successive governments are to blame for this? And
I don't disagree on that.
That's the reality.
I'll happily admit that, yeah, totally.
Should we move on to another story, because there's a lot here we want to get to. Ellie, what takes your fancy?
Oh, Anna, I lost my job in AI twice. In 40 days. 2 AI, sorry. Lost his job to AI.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is actually a really important story because an awful lot of young people are finding it really difficult to find work. One of my daughters is in the insurance industry, and she is already in the industry, but she is saying that they're having a new computer system that is being put in, and it's going to mean that more and more is going to be done with AI, and they're not going to need the graduates.
It's all the entry-level jobs.
So these entry-level jobs are being lost, and that's a real problem, because if you can't get a foot into the jobs market, then you can't get a home, you can't get on with your life. But AI is here to stay. So what we've got to do is look at the sectors where AI is not actually going to impact. So entertainment, music, care, therapy, anything where you need empathy and human contact, I don't think AI is actually ultimately going to win through. So as a country, we've got a great entertainment industry.
Entertainment is under attack in the back. Yeah, but AI-generated music, AI-generated spills. So whilst I hear what you're saying, I do think most industries are under threat, some more so than others.
Apart from trades. Trades is safe.
Yeah. Trades is the same. And
we need to go for apprenticeships, don't we?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, that's long been a thing that I think we've needed to do. But I think the best AI that they've tried with a trade couldn't do the simple task of putting up a shelf, which they classified as a sort of 5-year-old. So that. But I did see in Japan the other week, they've got their first AI dentist. Yeah. And it'll do a whole set of teeth in a third of the time. So it's concerning. And
end up with teeth in your cheeks.
Well, yeah, well, this is it. But I do think Anna's probably got a point in that I think we'll go on a journey of this where it will be useful. You can condense your time. You might be more productive. I think we will long for human connection more, and there might be a whole 360 on this.
I hope we're going to have in a positive note. I think there will be a renaissance of human-made art and music because people will desire those things. So I think new jobs will arise as a result of it. But I think the initial shock is going to be bad. We're just not ready. And politicians don't understand it, as we saw from the online safety bill. They don't understand technology. That's why the VPNs have got around them so quickly.
But one really important point, Alex, and Matthew's touched on it. Yes, we're going to be able to get robots to do things like fillings and technical things, but my mum's in hospital at the moment, and you cannot replace care.
Yeah.
You know, a nurse that comes round who asks you how you are. Yes, you can replace all doing the technical things with machines and AI, but human contact and human compassion is so important.
And we were talking to, not in the care sector, but in terms of human contact, we were talking to a hospitality boss a few weeks ago who was saying that actually that is one of the sectors that is safe from AI. And actually young people, we often think in this country, don't we, of people working in hospitality as a summer job or maybe a student job. Because you need to start seeing it as a lifetime career and invest in hospitality because that's where young people can actually be employed.
Imagine trying to complain to like an AI robot about your service. You're not going to get short shrift there, are you, really?
So, as you say, maybe we'll see a renaissance in those kind of jobs.
Listen, before we go, I really wanted to read out this comment, if you don't mind, because we've been talking about dogs a lot today, and our audience love dogs. We know you do. We know the British public love dogs. Laura said, I have 3, Ewok, Chewie and Leia. I love his Star Wars-themed dogs. Ewok and Leia are dad and daughter and are a pug. Shih Tzu crosses look like fluffy pugs, and Chewie's a Yorkshire Terrier. Do you have any dogs?
I do. Lottie's come on this programme. Lottie is a campaigner to stop experiments on live animals.
We love to hear it. Plans for any dogs, Matthew?
I've got Lucy and Toffee, a miniature Dachshund and a Dachshund Belgian Shepherd. And do you know what? Lucy, for a period last year, out-earned me. It's a crazy world out there.
We were talking to that guy
Absolutely. She's got her own profile. They've both got a joint Instagram. It's crazy. But she out-earned me last year by points.
Wow. OK, Matthew. And I think very much need to hear more about that. In the meantime, here's your weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A messy mix today. It's not as cold out there as yesterday. Certainly across the east you'll notice a milder start. In the east, well, staying largely dry, but rain in the west is moving that way through the day. Some heavy bursts this morning for Pembrokeshire, Devon, Cornwall. That'll push its way across Northern Ireland into western Scotland. A few showers in the eastern areas, but much of eastern England I think will stay dry until later on. That rain creeping into northwest England, the Midlands and more central parts of southern England this afternoon. Either side, it should brighten up. Quite cloudy out there this morning. We may see some sunny spells and quite mild in the east. Could get to 18 degrees in a few spots if the sun does come out. It is quite blustery and gusty though, so it certainly doesn't feel all that mild when this rain band does come in. And it will get into the southeast and East Anglia as we go through this evening's rush hour. Further west, something a bit brighter, but a few blustery showers zipping in on a fairly brisk wind, which will bring a fair few showers to Northern Ireland. Some heavy ones here, the chance of the odd rumble of thunder. Same goes for western Scotland. Some heavy downpours likely here come the end of the day as that weather front moves its way up across northeastern Scotland, tending to fizzle out as it does so. Clearer skies then follow for many during the first half of the night at least, but look at the showers still coming in across Northern Ireland and most of Scotland. Showers too for parts of Wales and western England through the second half of the night, but much of the east will stay dry. And again, a pretty mild night, certainly a lot warmer than nights earlier in the week. On to tomorrow morning, and again, it's a fairly grey start. Again, there'll be quite a few showers through the day, particularly for Scotland. Frequent showers coming in here and for Northern Ireland. The showers more scattered across England and Wales. Decent chance here. Most of the day will be dry, particularly across the far north of England and along the south coast as well. Some sunny spells developing. Still quite breezy, but still quite mild, with temperatures in the mid to high teens for many.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M6 southbound between Junction 27 and Junction 26 near Wigan, an incident involving multiple vehicles has resulted in 2 of the 3 lanes being closed, with traffic conditions expected to improve after 8:30 this morning. Meanwhile, on the M1 southbound in Leicestershire, between Junction 22 and Junction 21, a crash has led to the closure of one of the 4 lanes, lasting until after 8:30. Additionally, on the M25 clockwise in Surrey, between Junction 6 and Junction 7, a tyre change is currently blocking 1 lane until just after 8. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Make sure you don't miss out on your chance to win big. One guaranteed winner will drive away with a brand new 4-berth Benivan 122 camper van, just in time for summer. You'll also get an additional £25,000 in tax-free cash. Our next winner really could be you, so secure your place in the draw today. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Good morning. Key details of King Charles's US state visit have been revealed as he attempts to repair the special relationship.
Yes, the trip is being billed as a diplomatic reset after criticism from President Donald Trump of the UK's military and, of course, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister.
But there are calls for the King to meet Jeffrey Epstein survivors, a request that Buckingham Palace has since ruled out.
Well, a royal source tells me the King doesn't want to do anything that could prevent bringing justice to Epstein survivors. Meanwhile, with Starmer and Trump's relationship as an all-time low, what can the King do to repair it? More detailed shortly.
We are underprepared, we're underinsured, we're under attack, we're not safe. And the current conflict in the Middle East has to be a rude wake-up call to this country.
That's an ex-Labour minister and former NATO chief there who's accused the government of corrosive complacency on defence. Lord Robertson says we cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget and accuses non-military experts in the Treasury of vandalism.
Yes, an absolutely damning verdict on our defence. But the Prime Minister keeps saying he's going to go further and faster. Where would the money come from? The Treasury not keen to fund much more defence spending.
Elsewhere this morning, are single-parent families to blame for the rise in so-called toxic masculinity? We're going to be debating that in about 20 minutes.
Sport this morning, Liverpool had a go at PSG yesterday in the Champions League, but still went down 2-0 at Anfield. So only one English team left in the competition, that's Arsenal. Manager Mikel Arteta promises fire and zero fear tonight. And also a great win for the Lionesses at Wembley last night. They beat current champions Spain to do their World Cup qualification. Hopes no harm whatsoever.
Not as cold out there this morning, certainly compared to yesterday morning, thanks to a lot of cloud. And yes, there is some rain moving in. Find out when you will see the rain in your area by joining me later for a full forecast.
Good morning, it's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
We were just talking in the papers, weren't we, about AI coming for all of our jobs, and a man in one of the papers today who's lost 2 jobs to AI in the past month, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hells Bells has been in touch this morning, making the point that for the Treasury this isn't good news because AI doesn't pay income tax.
And it kind of beats the drum of that rhetoric that they need to charge, because it's the corporations, of course. It's corporation tax that they'll need to go after. If AI does come after jobs, maybe they'll look at raising that to raise more money.
Yeah.
You never know. What will that do to the economy?
They're going to have to look at trades, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, electricians and plumbers and carpenters and all those things.
And all those poor kids who've got so much debt from university, how they're going to apply those degrees in history and English to practical jobs in the future. They're going to have to reskill again.
Yeah, going to have to, isn't it? We might see a whole new generation of being reskilled and potentially replaced.
Or everyone becomes a social media influencer. Dogs become
Well,
famous.
yes.
You know, we've seen that today. How a man who's quit his job as a carpenter, who is one of those people that we need those...
That has a trade,
but his dog has become so famous he's been able to quit his job.
Yeah, he was saying that his dog is earning more in an hour than he was earning in a day, getting up at 5:30 and going to be a carpenter. Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way forward. We all need to be social media. I am trying on the side as my side hustle with Monty. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, please do.
He's going to out-earn me. He's welcome to. I'd be delighted. All right, keep your views coming in this morning. gbnews.com/you'll say.
All right, shall we hear now from Kevin Hollinrake, chairman of the Conservative Party, live from Westminster. Thank you for joining us, Kevin. Let's start with defence, shall we? It's the tip of everyone's tongue at the moment. The government's been accused by Lord Robertson of vandalism, people in the Treasury at least. Has the Conservative Party got a role to play in that vandalism, seeing as it sliced hollowed out, it's been accused at least of hollowing out our military time and time again whilst in government?
Well, the most important thing we do now is look forward and make sure we spend the right amount of money on defence today. Kemi Badenoch in the House on Monday offered the opportunity to the Prime Minister to say we'll work together to make sure we spend the right amount of money on defence by reforming the welfare budget. That offer was immediately rejected, which I think is disgraceful. There's no point in time when we were in power did we ever spend less than the NATO requirement of 2% of GDP on defence, but there's no doubt today we need to spend more. That means reducing the cost of government in other areas to make sure that we can spend the right amount of money on defence.
But even if we were to reinstate the 2-child benefit cap, now it would only make up 5% of the defence budget. So where are the Tories suggesting that the rest of that money would come from?
Well, the welfare budget is far too high. We found £23 billion of savings in the welfare budget by reforming basically the way people access some support for low-level mental health conditions, bringing back face-to-face assessments. We believe we can save £23 billion a year. Much of that needs to be invested in defence. There's no question about it. We've been spending 2% of GDP on defence, I say, over the last 15 years. We legislated to go to 2.5% of GDP on defence, and we think we need to get to 3% of GDP on defence by the end of this Parliament. That's a commitment that's not been matched by the Labour government. We're in a completely different world from when Keir Starmer took over the running of this country in July 2024. He needs to step up and spend more on defence today.
Yeah, but is this not the same complacency we've seen from the last government? Of course, all those pledges were there, but we've seen the state of our military now in response to this war in Iran. And I think this is what people are so incited about when we talk about this issue, because everyone blames you. That's what Keir Starmer does. He blames your party in government for hollowing out the military. And can people trust the Conservative Party with defence? It's all very good and well now when you're in opposition, but actually while you were in government, you didn't, where you cut the benefits bill, put it and prioritise it on defence. What's changed?
Well, I think you make the point about Keir Starmer. He never takes responsibility for anything. You know, he's Prime Minister, he's leading the government, he needs to take the right decisions now. During our term in office, I say we never spent less than 2% on defence of GDP. We commissioned new ships, new drone technology, for example. So we did spend money on defence, but you can easily say now you could have spent it in different areas or you should have spent more. But we are where we find ourselves. We've got to make the commitment now to spend the right amount on defence. The world has changed in 2022, of course, and I've got to say the Conservative government was at the forefront. It was going to be decisive back in 2021, 2022 in terms of helping Zelensky and Ukraine to defend themselves against Russia. I do not see the same backbone, the same decisiveness from Keir Starmer. His own people, George Robertson, former Secretary General of NATO, somebody who's former Labour Defence Secretary, has criticised Keir Starmer for spending too much on welfare and not spending enough on defence. We agree with that. We're willing to work cross-party with the government to be able to deliver the right amount of money going into defence. That's what we need to do today.
Can I ask you about the King's state visit to the US? The full itinerary has now been released ahead of that visit at the end of the month. A private tea with the President and the First Lady. He'll be in New York to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks. Spend time in Washington, D.C. and in Virginia as well. Do you welcome this state visit? Does it come at the right time? And are you hopeful that it can now repair that special relationship?
Well, the special relationship is between the UK and the US. We have a long-standing relationship. This goes beyond the limits of a presidential term. Of course, we have key trading relationships with the US. Many jobs in the UK depend on it. They're our biggest single trading partner, nation-to-nation trading partner, the US. So it's very important that special relationship continues. It will outlast any leader of the US and indeed the UK. So yes, it's the right thing for the King to go to the US to make sure that we build on the friendship we already have and build on that special relationship. So yes, we do think it's the right thing to do.
Mr Hollinreg, let's talk about Conservatives wanting to instigate smartphone bans in schools. This is a national issue that, of course, has been discussed many times. The Prime Minister and the Labour Party are pledging to crack down on smartphones. We're looking at a potential ban for under-16s, as has been done in Australia. The question is this a realistic proposal? Can we rely on schools to crack down on this, or is it really not the position of any politician to be getting involved in the affairs of individuals?
Well, let's be clear what our policy is. We have a policy where we want to ban social media for people under 16 completely, and that's something we're voting on in Parliament this week. That's a Conservative proposal. We think it's the right thing. We don't want to see young people accessing some of this very damaging content and some of the difficulties people face dealing with social media, some of the pressures it puts on our young people. But also, we believe our councillors are very good at convening local people in the education system, our local school leaders, our head teachers. We want them to work to bring about a complete ban of smartphones in our schools up and down the country. Our councillors are very keen to help us do that. So that's what we're committing to do, to make sure our children in school can live smartphone free on a daily basis. So that's something we are pledging today.
Thank you so much. That's Kevin Hollinreg there, Chairman of the Conservative Party, and talking about boosting the economy, getting people back into work. Some people behind you might benefit for some work too. There we go. That's live from Westminster. Thank you, Kevin Hollinreg. Appreciate it.
You deserve a round of applause putting up with those protesters behind you, Mr Hollinreg. Thank you very much indeed. Well, let's speak to Catherine Forster, who's in the studio with us. Catherine, you were listening across to that interview, you were watching it with us. What did you make of what you heard there from Mr Hollinreg?
Well, first of all, the government, it'll probably come up in PMQs today, are constantly saying, look what the Tories did to our armed forces, they hollowed them out. And yes, that's a totally valid argument, but the Conservatives would say we were living in a different world. We did have that peace dividend. Ourselves and other countries just didn't think that we needed to spend the money. We had the money for the NHS, we had the money for welfare. We thought that we were safe. And also, we did always spend that minimum of 2%. But if you look at what's happened now, the world has clearly changed when Russia invaded Ukraine, when Donald Trump came in and said everyone needs to spend 5% of GDP to be, fulfilling their NATO obligations. And then with this war in Iran, and other countries, other NATO members have largely increased their defence spending very dramatically. Countries like Poland, the closer you are to Russia, the more they're spending. But also countries like Germany, that were traditionally very laggardly, have borrowed huge sums and are massively ramping up defence spending. And we are now an exception because we're not really increasing ours that much. So I don't think it's surprising that we've had this intervention by Lord Robertson. He is a big figure in Labour. He is generally a loyalist, and I think it's a measure of where we are. But the reality is that Rachel Reeves and the Treasury say they don't have the money, and they don't want to put taxes up. They don't want to break their fiscal rules and go in for lots and lots of borrowing. And for all the talk of, well, take away the two-child, reinstate the two-child benefit cap, that would be one small measure. We're talking about large amounts of money that are needed, and I think there's going to be very difficult choices coming down the line.
But this is quite damning, isn't it? Lord Robertson's very, very loyal to the Labour Party, and him saying, you're basically choosing welfare over the defence of the country is not a good look for a Prime Minister who's currently running around globally trying to get a ceasefire that nobody's listening to, by the way, seemingly. How bad is this split going to be? Because you could see more splits emerging from those Blairites inside the Labour Party. I know there are a few and fewer of them, but this is quite a pragmatic thing to do, to spend on defence, particularly as YouGov shows that it's a fastest rising issue amongst the British public.
It is a rising issue, and I was at the launch of the Strategic Defence Review, which was at a BAE shipyard in Glasgow last summer, and it had three authors. Lord Robertson, we've heard his criticisms, talking about we cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget, but also the other authors, Sir Richard Barrons, have been critical of the government too, and so has Fiona Hill, who said it is bizarre that the government is not ramping up defence spending. And in fact, not only are they not ramping it up as quickly as experts say is needed, they're actually asking for cuts. And there is apparently an enormous black hole. So the rhetoric is one thing. You hear the Prime Minister saying, my first duty is to keep the country safe, going to go further and faster. The reality at the moment is very different, as we saw with HMS Dragon, when they took a very long time to get it to the Eastern Mediterranean.
So embarrassing for our country. Once a great naval empire, now reduced to not being able to deploy a ship. It is such a disgrace for our country. I really think it is, and I wish these politicians would get a grip. And we've been warned so many times that we're on the edge of war. Putin invaded Ukraine, and we still did nothing, Catherine. It just blows my mind.
And also, we're making these commitments, the coalition of the willing, to some sort of peacekeeping force in Ukraine as and when. And also now, we, with France, are leading these discussions on how we would reopen the Strait of Hormuz once there is the ceasefire. And both of those will require large amounts of troops or military assets and large amounts of money.
Which we don't have.
Exactly.
Catherine, thank you very much.
Thanks, Catherine. Yes, key details have also been revealed about the King's upcoming state visit to the United States. It includes stopovers in Washington, D.C., New York and Virginia to mark America's 250th birthday.
Yes, the details include a private tea hosted by the President and the First Lady, time in New York to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks, and the King will also address Congress in Washington, D.C., making him only the second monarch to address the chamber after his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. It goes without saying, doesn't it, that the state visit comes during a critical time during the special relationship, as President Trump has recently upped his criticisms of Sir Keir Starmer.
Yes, joining us live from the US Embassy is GB News' royal correspondent Cameron Walker. Cameron, tell us more.
Well, Alex, it's certainly going to be a packed 3 days for the King and Queen when they head over the ponds to the United States of America in just a couple of weeks' time. I've learnt a new word in the last 24 hours, semi-quincentennial, and that means 250th, because it is the 250th anniversary of the Confederation of the United States of America, and that primarily is why King Charles is going across and why President Trump has invited him to go across to celebrate the shared bonds, the shared history between our two nations. But of course, the whole thing comes with such a backdrop of pretty stark and poor relations between President Trump and Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. Now, the President was asked overnight whether or not that relationship will overshadow the state visit. He said not at all, but then he went on to criticise Sir Keir Starmer further, talking about or criticising his immigration policies. Of course, we've heard over several weeks, haven't we, that President Trump is not happy with Sir Keir Starmer's response to the Iran war. He also likened our warships to toys compared to the United States, or at least our aircraft carriers, and the King is head of the armed forces. We've also had Ed Davey, leader of Liberal Democrats, call for the state visit to be cancelled. Prime Minister Starmer does not want to do that, and the Foreign Office spokesperson told us yesterday that we are close allies. We do disagree on things, but that doesn't detract from the value that both sides get from this relationship and have done over many decades. I think, in other words, it doesn't really matter who's in the White House. It doesn't matter who's in 10 Downing Street. This is about the monarch, head of an unbroken line that dates back over 1,000 years, celebrating the ties between the United States and the United Kingdom, and perhaps this could be Sir Keir Starmer's chance to try and repair that relationship between President Trump's administration and 10 Downing Street, using the soft power of King Charles. But another headache for King Charles is this whole Epstein issue. We have seen survivors call on or write to King Charles, asking him to meet them when he is in the United States of America. Now, royal sources insisted last night that that simply is not going to be possible. The reason being, despite calls from a US Congressman, Ro Khanna, for the King to do so, the reason being is that it could prejudice any future criminal trial, and the King and the Queen does not want to deny justice to survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's historic sexual abuse. So that is why the decision has been taken that the King and the Queen will not be meeting with Epstein survivors. However, we know that the Queen has long advocated and also supported survivors of sexual abuse and domestic abuse more generally. I do understand that during the 3-day state visit, she will be meeting survivors and organisations dedicated to supporting survivors of sexual abuse. So there will be perhaps a nod to it, but not specifically to Epstein victims. As you mentioned, Ellie and Alex, in your introduction there, it's a packed state visit involving Washington, D.C., a private tea. There's going to be a state banquet at the White House. The King and Queen also going to the 9/11 Memorial in New York and a couple of engagements there, as well as Virginia, to focus on local communities there and the indigenous populations.
And you're going to be there for the whole thing, Cameron, and people can watch it on GB News, so you won't miss a thing. Cameron, thank you so much.
All right, so lots of you writing in about your dogs still. We will, I promise you, I'll read some more dog comments out. We are a nation of dog lovers, and we love dogs on this show too, don't we?
It's really brought it home today, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
Everybody loves their dogs. We'll share as many as we can throughout the programme. In the meantime, though, should we get a check on the weather?
Let's do it.
Which isn't so fun, I'm afraid. Here's Alex Deacon with the details.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A messy mix today. It's not as cold out there as yesterday. Certainly across the east you'll notice a milder start. In the east, well, staying largely dry, but rain in the west is moving that way through the day. Some heavy bursts this morning for Pembrokeshire, Devon, Cornwall. That'll push its way across Northern Ireland into western Scotland. A few showers in the eastern areas, but much of eastern England I think will stay dry until later on. That rain creeping into northwest England, the Midlands and more central parts parts of southern England this afternoon. Either side, it should brighten up. Quite cloudy out there this morning. We may see some sunny spells and quite mild in the east. Could get to 18 degrees in a few spots if the sun does come out. It is quite blustery and gusty though, so it certainly doesn't feel all that mild when this rain band does come in. And it will get into the southeast and East Anglia as we go through this evening's rush hour. Further west, something a bit brighter, but a few blustery showers zipping in on a fairly brisk wind, which will bring a fair few showers to Northern Ireland. Some heavy ones here, the chance of the odd rumble of thunder. Same goes for western Scotland. Some heavy downpours likely here come the end of the day as that weather front moves its way up across northeastern Scotland, tending to fizzle out as it does so. Clearer skies then follow for many during the first half of the night at least, but look at the showers still coming in across Northern Ireland and most of Scotland. Showers too for parts of Wales and Western England through the second half of the night, but much of the east will stay dry. And again, a pretty mild night, certainly a lot warmer than nights earlier in the week. On to tomorrow morning, and again, it's a fairly grey start. Again, there'll be quite a few showers through the day, particularly for Scotland. Frequent showers coming in here and for Northern Ireland. The showers more scattered across England and Wales. Decent chance here. Most of the day will be dry, particularly across the far north of England and along the south coast as well. Some sunny spells developing. Still quite breezy, but still quite mild, with temperatures in the mid to high teens for many.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
All right, here's one to get you going. Are fatherless families to blame for toxic masculinity? That's coming up next on GB News Breakfast with Ellie and Alex.
I've been in Westminster for a long time. But I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
It is very much a historic day and a historic mission. What I thought was particularly interesting as well was the link from the Apollo 8 era, or the Apollo era in general, up to now. There was this kind of respect from the astronauts. Victor Glover in particular, he made a very beautiful statement thanking the legacy of the Apollo era. And also one morning they woke up and Jim Lovell from Apollo 8 and Apollo 13, famously, the one that went wrong, you know, Houston, we have a problem, woke them up with a beautiful, beautiful message, wishing them best of luck. And as you remember, Jim sadly passed away last year, so somebody had the foresight to record that message and put it in. So imagine waking up in the morning to that with your heroes. For us astronauts, Artemis 2 successfully completed. The runway is paved, and we can effectively get on with it. And this, I hope this will be a new era for space where people will be inspired. Kids around the world, they would sort of get into STEM and sciences, and space has an enormous power to inspire. And when you do a big mission like this, it really transforms things.
It does seem like this mission has unlocked the interest that was perhaps missing for a little while. People have gone crazy for it on social media, watching on their televisions. Yeah, but I think people have really connected with this mission, haven't they?
They have. It's also because it's humans at the end of the day. You have all the engineering. You know, Artemis 1, that was an engineering excellence. You know, they did it. But there's no people in it. This time you have astronauts in it. There's a human connections. And you have these things that human can do.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 25 minutes past 8. Now, a teachers' union has raised concerns over a masculinity crisis that's growing in schools across the UK, with misogynistic abuse of female staff on the increase, leaving victims traumatised and humiliated.
Yes, almost a quarter of female teachers who took part in a union survey said they have been the target of misogyny from a pupil over the last 12 months. So, this morning we're asking, are fatherless families to blame for toxic masculinity?
Well, we're joined by personal finance blogger and mum, Emma Bradley, and TV personality Nicola McLean. Morning, ladies. Nicola, let's start with you. Are fatherless families to blame, do you think, for so-called toxic masculinity?
No, I don't think so. I think that the manosphere is driven by modern cultural society, not just family structure. I think the social media algorithm that our young boys are seeing, I've got a 20-year-old and a 16-year-old, it is worrying. But I don't think we can blame fatherless families, because I think that we'd see a lot more men in it if we did, and we don't.
OK, Emma, what do you think?
Well, I'm a teacher and I've seen this behaviour playing out in schools as well. And I would say, yes, fatherless families are a huge driver in this. If there wasn't fatherless families, we wouldn't have this gap that is being filled by the manosphere and by the algorithms and by social media. So the first port of call is the fact that there are so many young men and teenage boys that are not having a strong fatherless figure in their family. And that doesn't necessarily have to be their dad living in their house. You know, I'm not bashing mums at all. Mums are the ones that are holding it all together. I have the utmost respect for mums, and they are the ones that are staying. It's many of these fathers that are walking away from their responsibilities, and that is causing a void that men and boys are looking online and elsewhere to fill.
Nicola, can I put this to you? Because, I grew up with a single mother household. I love women. You know, my mum is amazing. I've never disrespected or been misogynistic towards women before. But I feel when I look at this and I look to young men who are in both parent families, joint full families with mum and dad, and I see the same issues. And what it says, when I dig into it myself with these young men, what it seems to me is a rejection of a culture that's developed and pushed onto these young lads when they see things like adolescence targeting them. They see things in the culture wars targeting young men all the time, when actually we don't talk about toxic feminism enough as well.
Yeah, do you know what? That's such a good point. And my boys always say this to me. They always say, especially my 16-year-old at school, and he says that this is exactly right, that he feels like that goes on a lot. I feel like, to go back to your point, I think men have always left households. Women, single mums have always been around, and we haven't had this toxic masculinity for years. I think it's a social media thing. I really think that it can't be lost on us that this is a social media algorithm. This is boys seeing men like Andrew Tate showing extreme wealth, and there's an economic pressure on young boys. And I feel like we can't blame, single mums. We can't. We have to look at the fact that this is what boys are watching online, and I don't think it can be lost. I understand you're a teacher, but as a boy mum and as a mum of a 16-year-old, I know what their algorithm is showing them.
Emma, last word to you. Is this more about the algorithm? Is this more about online social media than it is about family structure?
I think family structure is really important. Let's not forget, this isn't actually new. This started in the 70s, the 80s, with the crisis masculinity and the change in structure of the economics and the workplace as well. And it is just exacerbated to the point we're in now. And like Nicola, I think it is a culmination of everything, but we cannot ignore the fact that fatherless families are driving a lot of this, and this is about the men stepping up and needing to be there. We want boys to be good men. They need to see good men in their lives.
Emma, whilst I take your point, I reject the overall premise of this debate. I think men have been under attack for a really long time, and I think Andrew Tate is filling the void. He's weaponising that void that has been left there by time and time again, young men being told we want equality, but actually there's equality for some, but not for everybody. You know, when it comes to certain things, men are told you've got to step up, but when it comes to women then told to have the same equality, it's not shared. And I think that is a really big part of the problem. We've got to have more discussions. If we want equality, it's got to be true equality. And I think that will go a long way to help young men feel that void has been not being filled by people like Andrew Tate. That's my opinion.
Emma, Nicola, thank you so much for your time this morning. Apologies for the issues with Nicola's line there and the audio quality. Thank you very much, ladies. Let us know what you think. I'm sure you've got a view. gbnews.com/your say. In the meantime, just time to tell you about the Great British Giveaway. It's a goodie, 25 grand in tax-free cash and a brand new 4-berth motorhome. Here are all of the details that you need.
Time is ticking on your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. One guaranteed winner will drive away with a brand new 4-berth Benivan 122 camper van, just in time for summer. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this stylish home from home comes with all of the features you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £67,000. Alloy wheels, solar panel and pop-top bunks for an optional sleeping area. You'll also get an additional £25,000 in tax-free cash. Our next winner really could be you. So secure your place in the draw today. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, if you're travelling to work or school, here's your traffic and travel update. Don't forget we're on digital and radio too.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A77 is restricted both ways at Lendlefoot after a broken-down vehicle. On the A48M westbound, expect congestion from junction 29 at Castleton to junction 29A at St Mellons. In Northamptonshire, the M1 southbound exit slip at junction 16 is closed for road management. In Luton, the M1 southbound at junction 11A has a broken-down vehicle with 2 of 4 lanes closed. In Gloucestershire, the A417 southbound has lane closures between the A436 and the A419. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Now, do stay with us still to come. There's only one English team left in the Champions League.
Oh, not good.
That's following Liverpool's defeat last night. Paul Coit has got all the details. He's with us next.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in, and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay. Because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, we are thrilled to say that GB News Breakfast has once again been nominated for Best News Programme at the Trick Awards. We've actually won for the past 3 years. We would love to make it 4 years, if you think we deserve it, of course. If you'd like to vote for us, because it is a public vote, and that's why it means the world to us, you can scan the QR code on your screen now, or you can go to poll-trick.org.uk. Thank you so much.
There we go, and it's time to go through all the sports call point.
That's me.
Call point is here.
Liverpool.
It's been an early start the last 3 days for you. Paul, you have to let me off.
You know, we're talking about Coit in a minute, but call.
Paul Coit, what have you got?
I'll tell you what I've got. Liverpool are out of the Champions League, so they lost 2-0 to PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, who were the holders last night. I don't think it was much of a surprise. They gave it a bit of a go, but it just wasn't enough. So Arsenal, so they're the only English team that are left at the moment, well, I say at the moment, left in the competition now. They want to get to the semi-finals. They're 1-0 down to Sporting of Lisbon. They play at the Emirates, so they're playing at home tonight. They haven't had a good run of late, and what they need is a manager to inspire them, to show them a bit of excitement, to show them a bit of fire, to give them something to hold on to. So do you reckon Mikel Arteta's got it?
Let's see.
I think he does.
Let's have a look.
Fire. I'm on fire. That's it, nothing else. I'm dreaming so much. I've done so much, you know, to be in this position because I know how this club it was. I've done so much against anything that this is beauty. I just see beauty, opportunity, and yeah, I want to get it done for all these people that they've been in this journey with us. And because they deserve it, because it's been unbelievable. That's what is driving me every single day. I have zero fear. Fear I had when, if we don't get this done, this club, I don't know where it's going. That was fear. Now, there's no fear. It's just purpose, fire, direction, and conviction that we're going to do it.
Is he overdoing it a bit, do you think?
I think
do you think so?
Is good.
But first I'm thinking, yeah, I like the passion, but then is it a man that's panicking a little bit, that's a little overly worried, or is he just trying to get his team fired up for the game tonight, for the rest of the season? Just trying to get his team fired up. OK, fine. I'll go with that. We've got another manager for you, and that's the Lionesses. They beat Spain last night 1-0 at Wembley.
Go on the girls.
Serena Wiegmann, we're big fans of Serena Wiegmann. You know, well, this is what she said after the game. This is not, I don't know whether this is going to be like manager speak, you know, it's just your usual stuff, but we love Serena, so here's Serena Wiegmann at Wembley last night.
Of course, we're really happy with the win, especially, or even more in our stadium with all the celebrations we had, and then tomorrow we really need to have like a mindset shift straight away and go, get prepared for Iceland, because that's going to be a tough challenge again.
Iceland next on Saturday for the Lionesses.
There you go. Go on, ladies.
And what's our name again? I'm Peter Daughters.
No, you're Ellie Petersdottir. Because if you're Icelandic, although there are different rulings, but generally If you're Icelandic, you will take the surname. Your surname will be your father's first name
And
with
Dotterson.
Dottir.
Dottir.
And then if you're a boy, then it will be your father's name with son at the end.
There you go.
So if you see lots of Dottirs that are playing for Iceland on Saturday, that will be the reason.
Well, it may be on the decline, because coming up next, Gen Alpha aren't getting married anymore.
Who are Gen Alpha?
I don't know. We're going to find out.
Who is she? Who is Gen Alpha? I'm sure I used to go out with her.
Yeah. We're going to find out who they all are with Anna Firth and Matthew Talbot, but we're going to get your weather first.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Some heavy rain in southern Italy at the moment, but that will be easing as we head towards the weekend. Could see a few showers turning up in Greece, some wet weather in parts of North Africa, and some strong winds blowing here too. But much of northern Italy and the south of France dry and sunny. Most of Spain and Portugal also seeing plenty of sunshine during Thursday. Dry and bright too in Madeira and across the Canaries, where it will be getting a bit warmer over the next few days. Plenty of warm sunshine too for Nice and Rome.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Allow.
Stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
And you rightly said, when I was leaving Ghana for United Kingdom, I thought we got Christianity through British being our colonial masters. So I thought, having come to a place that the gospel came from, it should be all godliness. But slowly things are changing. I mean, people can choose to do whatever they want, but the level of impunity, the punity that people act with, knowing that you call the authority, they will not help you. And it's like they do it with no ramifications. So what is the need for them to stop attacking the church? And you look around, we say we live in a civil society. We are not against that because we have to serve the people.
Daniel, do you feel that Christianity in Britain has come under more and more attack? Do you feel that it's something has changed? I was looking into this earlier, and hundreds of churches every year are facing vandalism, but we don't hear much from the government about it. We don't hear outrage when we hear of mosques being attacked. We do hear politicians talking about it. We hear the same for synagogues and other religious groups, but not so much for Christianity. Have we forgotten to talk about Christians coming under attack and the Christian faith coming under attack?
Oh, that is the feeling I got, because before I contacted GB News, I had reached out to some of the major outlets, and I do not know whether I have right to mention them, but all my plea were ignored. And some of it was so classic that they had featured an attack on that religion, and then they say, if you have been affected, contact us through this means, and I will do that. Nothing and no one will respond. So definitely I feel Christianity is being subtly marginalized, and there is no intervention whatsoever.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain,
with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
All right, shall we have a look at some of the front pages?
Let's. The Telegraph's top story claims that Labour is set to lose control in Wales.
The Times is leading on a story that covers Reeves' hopes to boost defence funding.
The Guardian says that the IMF warns Britain is on the brink of recession and will be the hardest hit in the G7 due to the Iran war.
And finally, the Mail quotes, "We cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare bill." Well, states the obvious, why don't you? Good morning, you two. Anna First here, Matthew Talbot. Good to see you both. Should we start with the Times? The US and Iran are headed for a second round of talks to end the war in the Gulf, Anna.
Well, I mean, don't hold your breath on this one, because the peace talks in the Middle East are notorious for taking weeks, if not years.
But Iran doesn't know anything about this new set of peace talks.
Well, there you go. That tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it, about whether this is going to be successful or not. I mean, obviously we want George or not war, but Iran have got to be more realistic, because we cannot allow them to be in a position where they can develop nuclear weapons. And they're offering a moratorium for 3 to 5 years, I believe. And Trump is saying, well, absolute minimum of 20, and he'd like them never to be able to enrich uranium to 90%. So, I mean, that is first base. And until that issue is resolved, then we are not going to see any solution. But it's actually in all of our interests. It's actually in the world's interest that we make sure that Iran does not ever have the ability to develop nuclear weapons.
Indeed. And Matthew, at the moment, we're seeing a hell of a lot of troops, or not troops, or at least aircraft headed towards the Middle East from the United States of America. That, to me, indicates there is going to be no continued ceasefire in this current predicament we're in. Keir Starmer's obviously joining up with Emmanuel Macron to try and get a ceasefire going. Any chance of that happening?
I don't think so, because, unfortunately, I think the EU... I think NATO and certainly Keir Starmer, amongst others, think that Lebanon should be part of that ceasefire, and I don't think Israel is going to let that happen. They're saying this is a totally separate issue. I think we have to hope that there will be some sort of deal, whatever that is, because the longer this goes on, we're all going to pay, unfortunately. You would assume any sort of negotiation may mean it's a 10-year moratorium and there's a meeting in the middle. I know from the Pakistani media said that actually the Iranians felt blindsided, apparently, by J.D. Vance's comments, because they thought the talks had gone OK and there was some agreement. Whether it's politicking from him or propaganda from them, we don't really know, because I don't think you can trust either side. And actually, that's maybe where there will be no agreement, because both sides aren't really good faith actors in this, I don't think.
Matthew, let's stay with you, shall we, and look at something entirely different, because you are getting married next year, aren't you? Congratulations.
I am, thank you.
But Gen Alpha aren't interested, apparently.
No, I think it speaks to the idea of the social contract being broken. There was a survey in the Daily Mail that shows that only half of 13 to 16-year-olds think that tying the knot is important, and 56% want to have children. The majority just want financial security.
Yes.
And I think that's...
And they're saying the two can't go hand in hand?
No, exactly. And actually, if you look at figures even deeper in, if you look at the 1960s, marriage is nearly down 90% for people in their 20s. If you're age 66 or over, you're more likely to get married than you are if you're in your 20s. That's since 1960, we're down 90% on that.
Anna, is it because, and you, again, going back to the sort of social media stuff, these kids see all these big, lavish weddings now, and they think to themselves, how am I going to be able to afford that? And therefore, they would just choose not to have a wedding than have a scaled-down wedding that maybe doesn't look so great to their friends online.
That may be part of it. I do think also that young people are staying together for quite a lot longer before they do decide to tie the knot, which is different thing from my generation. That they go through numerous different stages in their relationships. But I mean, it's very. I actually think the other thing that's really important here, that only 56% are saying they really want to have children. That's not
alarming, isn't it?
That's really alarming. That means 44% are saying they don't want to have children, and we've got a declining birth rate down to 1.37, and we desperately need that to be above 2 for us to be replicating ourselves and to have the people to actually work to grow our economy. So I think it's massively important, that we start incentivising young people, helping them to get on the housing ladder. I remember Myra's tax relief on the first 30,000. Now that dates me, because my original mortgage was 70,000, so I was getting Myra's tax relief on, nearly half my original mortgage. That And you know, we need to do something like that to help young people get there,
There's just no houses, though, Anna. There's no houses. I'm not personally attacking you, but the last government didn't build any homes. This government, I think, is going to struggle with the same issue, and that's a really big part of the problem.
It is part of the problem. I mean, you know, the last government did build homes, and this government is absolutely struggling.
Yeah, but you also brought in about 4 million people, and you built about, what, 1 million homes in was it 14 years?
I think it was a bit better than that, but I'm not disagreeing with you that we need to build more homes. And one of the things that we really need to do is to make developers who've already got planning permission build out those homes. We've got over 1 million homes that could be built. Developers are sitting on that land, and you know, that's a scandal.
Staying with you, let's talk about this charity event you're doing.
Thank you.
Very brave thing you're going to do.
Thank you. So myself and a brilliant man called David Stanley are abseiling off a tower, a big high tower at Southend Hospital. It's called Tackle the Tower, but we are doing it for a very special purpose. We're raising money for the Music Man Project. The Music Man Project gives severely disabled children and young people the opportunity to perform music, and it is incredible. And their first performance at the Royal Albert Hall was nearly 5 years ago, and Sir David Amis was their biggest champion in Leigh-on-Sea. And 200 disabled students and young people took the Royal Albert Hall by storm nearly 5 years ago. David Amis gets up at the end and pronounces to the entire world that they are going to go to Broadway. And then, sadly, we know what happened to Sir David. So we're coming up to the 5th anniversary of his death, and we are going to make it a reality to have the first international disabled concert in Broadway, put the Music Man on that platform, and really spread this love and
what a legacy that would be for him.
That's the idea. So we do need, if I could have a quick plug, we do please need people to go, if they would, to our Just Giving site and support us, because we've raised £111,000. We need £150,000 to get them there, and all their carers and all the musicians and everything that goes around that.
Oh, best luck, Anna. It's
Thank you.
Fantastic cause. It'd be brilliant to see it on Broadway. Matthew, let's just head down under, shall we? Sorry, I know lots of our viewers do not want to hear a thing about Harry and Meghan, but there is something new to tell you about this. Australian media is reporting that Meghan Markle, or we'll just call her Meg.
Meghan
Just
H.
call me Meg.
Meghan H.
Is busy filming MasterChef Australia today as a guest judge. Yes, what do you make of that? Part of this not royal tour.
Good for her. I think the Meg thing is a little bit unkind. I reckon it's a bit awkward not knowing what to call her as, you know, an ordinary person down under, and she's gone, just don't worry about it, just call me Meg, and we're making a bit of a thing of that. They're getting on with their lives. I honestly think all the best to them. I think Prince Harry chose love over his family, and he's paying the price for that in many ways, through the media and even in his own family. And I think the issue over security, I get the argument. I think if something was to happen to him, how would you feel if you were the king, and what would it look like on our country? So I think, unfortunately, whether it be Australia, us, whoever at the time, we're probably going to have to foot the bill. And, you know, I hope they have a wonderful time. And actually, I like them both. If you're paying nearly $1,500 to go and see them, then you're mad, and you deserve what you get anyway, to be honest with you.
Anna, what do you think?
Well, I'm afraid I'm no fan of Meghan Markle. I mean, you know, I've made this pretty plain before. I mean, I think she's out to commercialise pretty much every opportunity, and I understand that, you know, her jam isn't selling. Well, I'm not surprised. I think it's some ridiculous price per...
Sold out, didn't it? I thought.
I don't think they were that.
Well, I don't think she made many jars of it.
Well, listen, maybe she'll add some sprinkles on top of it, and that will be enough.
Yes.
There we go. All right.
Thanks, you two. Here's your weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A messy mix today. It's not as cold out there as yesterday. Certainly across the east you'll notice a milder start. In the east, well, staying largely dry, but rain in the west is moving that way through the day. Some heavy bursts this morning for Pembrokeshire, Devon, Cornwall. That'll push its way across Northern Ireland into western Scotland. A few showers in eastern areas, but much of eastern England I think will stay dry until later on. That rain creeping into northwest England, the Midlands and more central parts of southern England this afternoon. Either side, it should brighten up. Quite cloudy out there this morning. We may see some sunny spells and quite mild in the east. Could get to 18 degrees in a few spots if the sun does come out. It is quite blustery and gusty though, so it certainly doesn't feel all that mild when this rain band does come in. And it will get into the southeast and East Anglia as we go through this evening's rush hour. Further west, something a bit brighter, but a few blustery showers zipping in on a fairly brisk wind, which will bring a fair few showers to Northern Ireland. Some heavy ones here, the chance of the odd rumble of thunder. Same goes for western Scotland. Some heavy downpours likely here come the end of the day as that weather front moves its way up across northeastern Scotland, tending to fizzle out as it does so. Clearer skies then follow for many during the first half of the night at least, but look at the showers still coming in across Northern Ireland and most of Scotland. Showers too for parts of Wales and western England through the second half of the night, but much of the east will stay dry. And again, a pretty mild night, certainly a lot warmer than nights earlier in the week. On to tomorrow morning, and again it's a fairly grey start. Again there'll be quite a few showers through the day, particularly for Scotland. Frequent showers coming in here and for Northern Ireland. The showers more scattered across England and Wales. Decent chance here. Most of the day will be dry, particularly across the far north of England and along the south coast as well. Some sunny spells developing. Still quite breezy, but still quite mild with temperatures in the mid to high teens for many.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M80, a broken down vehicle is severely restricting the southbound carriageway between Junction 6 and Junction 6A, causing potential delays. On the M4 eastbound, there is significant congestion affecting the Junction 32 Corryton off-slip. In Leicestershire, the M1 southbound in Northamptonshire has a broken down vehicle between Junction 22 and Junction 21A, with one lane closed, resulting in delays of approximately 10 minutes. Additionally, on the trains, Chiltern Railways is reporting major disruption for services to and from London Marylebone. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Time is ticking on your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. One guaranteed winner will drive away with a brand new 4-berth Benivan 122 camper van just in time for summer. You'll also get an additional £25,000 in tax-free cash. Our next winner really could be you, so secure your place in the draw today. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Key details of King Charles's US state visit have been revealed as he attempts to repair the special relationship.
Yes, the trip is being billed as a diplomatic reset after criticism from President Donald Trump of the UK's military and Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister.
But there are calls for the King to meet Jeffrey Epstein survivors, a request that has since been ruled out by Buckingham Palace.
Well, a royal source tells me that the King doesn't want to do anything that could prevent bringing justice to Epstein victims, not everybody accepting that excuse. Meanwhile, of course, as relations between Trump and Starmer appear to be at an all-time low, what can the King do to repair that?
We are underprepared, we're underinsured, we're under attack, we're not safe. And the current conflict in the Middle East has to be a rude wake-up call to this country.
An ex-Labour minister there and former NATO chief who's accused the government of corrosive complacency on defence. Well, Lord Robertson says we cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget and accuses non-military experts in the Treasury of vandalism. Chairman of the Conservative Party, Kevin Hollinrake, told GB News the government doesn't have its priorities straight.
No point in time when we were in power did we ever spend less than the NATO requirement of 2% of GDP on defence, but there's no doubt today we need to spend more. That means reducing the cost of government in other areas.
Well, the Prime Minister keeps saying he's going to go further and faster on defence spending, but Chancellor Rachel Reeves is apparently only offering another $10 billion over 4 years. And armed forces say that they're actually facing nearly £30 billion of real terms cuts. I'll bring you more shortly.
Meanwhile, down under, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have kicked off their 4-day unofficial royal visit to Australia, combining charity work and commercial engagements.
Not as cold out there this morning, certainly compared to yesterday morning, thanks to a lot of cloud. And yes, there is some rain moving in. Find out when you will see the rain in your area by joining me later for a full forecast.
Good morning, it's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Our top story this morning is from former NATO chief Lord Robertson, who has accused Sir Keir Starmer and the Chancellor Rachel Reeves of corrosive complacency on defence.
Yes, he's also hitting out at Treasury officials over funding as pressure grows on the government to set out a clear plan for military investment.
We are underprepared, we're underinsured, we're under attack, we're not safe. And the current conflict in the Middle East has to be a rude wake-up call to this country. On top of what we've already seen in Ukraine, it should remind us in the United Kingdom of our vulnerabilities. And there are many. The Defence Secretary's announcement last week about the activities of Russian submarines around our undersea cables highlights just one of the serious risks.
Well, let's get some reaction to that, shall we, from Chief Secretary to the Treasury, James Murray, who joins us this morning. Good morning to you, Mr. Murray.
Hi, good morning.
What a damning critique from a Labour grandee, a loyal Labour man, Lord Robertson, who is saying that national security is in peril, who accuses the government of corrosive complacency, who says that those in the Treasury are guilty of vandalism. Are you a vandal? Are you complacent when it comes to defence spending?
Look, I've got a lot of respect for Lord Robertson, but I just fundamentally disagree with him on this. And it's not just me. The First Sea Lord was speaking to MPs earlier this week and said that there's no complacency at all in any of the dealings that he's had within government. But I would also say, look at the decisions that we've taken. Look at the decisions that the Chancellor and the Prime Minister have taken to increase investment in defence to the highest sustained levels since the Cold War. You know, we came into office with a commitment in our manifesto about setting out a pathway towards spending 2.5% of GDP on defence over this Parliament. We're going to hit 2.6% by April next year because of decisions that the Chancellor and the rest of the government have taken already. So, you know, it's really important to underline the investment that's going in to our military and to defence. We have to get it right, though, because it's not just a question of how much you spend, it's also how you spend it. And that's why the Defence Investment Plan, which is a 10-year strategy to transform our armed forces, is so important to get right.
Yes, but Mr Murray, those plans are constantly being delayed, aren't they? That's the problem. Right when Europe is at war, and now you're being accused of putting scroungers before soldiers because you can find the money to raise the two-child benefit cap, but you can't find it to much more to invest in our defence at a time when HMS Dragon hasn't even been able to fulfil its duties properly.
Well, no, look, I've got to challenge you on that because, you know, we are taking time to get the Defence Investment Plan right, and that is the right thing to do because it's a really vital plan for the next 10 years. But whilst we're doing that work, we're not sat on our hands. You know, we're already investing in military capability. We've signed over 1,000 contracts since we came into office, things like £1 billion on new helicopters, which will benefit 70 companies across Britain, £9 billion with Rolls-Royce for nuclear reactors and submarines, the new Atlantic Bastion programme, which is around detecting enemy submarines, £1.5 billion on munitions, the production of interceptor drones. You know, there's lots of investments, really important investments we're already making. So we're not sat on our hands whilst we're doing the important work of getting the Defence Investment Plan right. But it is important to get that right because it will set out what we're doing over the next 10 years to keep us all safe.
When are we going to have the Defence Investment Plan then?
Well, that's going to come out as soon as possible, but we need to get it right. And I'll go back to the point I've just been making, which is...
But we don't have time, that's the point. RAF Akrotiri has already come under attack. We had the Defence Secretary speaking just a few days ago about threats in the high north, and it appeared the only thing that we could say to Putin was, we can see you. We need the Defence Investment Plan now.
We need to make sure the Defence Investment Plan recognises those new threats and what we're learning from what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in the Middle East. We need to make sure it's fit for purpose and is pointing itself toward the threats that we face in the future. But I just want to repeat the point I made because it is an important one, which is that whilst we're doing this work to get the Defence Investment Plan right, we are not sat on our hands. We are already investing in huge, important capabilities for our military. I mentioned helicopter, submarine, nuclear reactors, and so on. All of that is really important to protect our nation.
Let's talk about your boss, the Chancellor. She's out in Washington, D.C., but she's been attacking the American government over its Iran war. She's hit out as folly, saying there's no clear exit plan. Is this another example of vandalism? Because at a time when oil prices are surging around the world, hundreds of oil tankers are on their way to the United States to start fulfilling their orders from them. We're going to need that oil very soon, aren't we? Because the Middle Eastern oil is simply not coming out, which we're going to desperately need when this energy crisis hits. Do we want to upset the United States even further?
Well, I think what the Chancellor was reflecting is her views, which are shared by many of us and by many people across the country, which was that, you know, going into that war without an exit plan and without a clear strategy about what the desired outcome was is not something that we wanted to be involved with. And that's why the Prime Minister said no to getting involved with the strikes on Iran. That was an important decision he made, which I think reflects the opinions of people across the country. And I think really, you know, when the Chancellor talks about being very frustrated and angry about what's happened, at the front of her mind is what's happening to people in the UK, because people are concerned about the impact this war is going to have on us. You know, it's not a war of our choosing, but it is going to have an impact on us here. And our job as a government is to protect people as that's coming our way.
You're here today to talk to us about the UK sending £752 million to Ukraine to help with their defences in the fight against Russia. So you're sending all of this money to Ukraine, and yet we can't sort out our own defences. There'll be so many people watching and listening to this interview, James Murray, and asking, do you have your priorities straight?
Defending Ukraine is about defending the UK. It is in our national interest to make sure that we stand shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine in their fight against Russia. That money that you referred to is the third tranche of money which is going by way of a loan to Ukraine, with the loan being funded by income from immobilised Russian assets in Europe. That loan is really important to make sure that Ukraine can be well prepared in terms of its military equipment and so on. And I make no apology about standing shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine. I know that not all of the opposition parties in Parliament currently think that way, but I can tell you for free it's absolutely the government's position.
Mr. Murray, a brief final question to you, if you don't mind. Jackdaw and Rosebank, when are we going to see further plans on that? Is it because Ed Miliband is running the government rather than Keir Starmer, perhaps?
Well, no, those particular decisions about those two cases you highlighted, they are decisions for the Energy Secretary. That's how this system works. But we're talking already about the importance of oil and gas production from the North Sea for many decades to come.
Which is something that your Energy Secretary doesn't want to do. It's something your Energy Secretary doesn't want to do. He's at odds with your boss, Rachel Reeves, isn't he?
No, look, the government is united about promoting, for instance, tiebacks. Now, what a tieback is where you have new production from existing oil fields, and that's a really important way of making sure that we benefit from our resources in the North Sea. It also generates tax revenue and jobs, so it's a really important part of our economy, and the government is united on that front.
OK, James Murray, we're out of time with you, I'm afraid, but thank you so much for joining us this morning on GB News Breakfast.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
All right, joining us now in the studio is GB News senior political correspondent Catherine Forster. What did you make of that, Catherine? It seems to me lots of plans, not many answers to when these plans are going to come to fruition.
No, exactly. And I was at the launch of the Strategic Defence Review last summer. All three of the authors of that have now been critical of the government. This accusation from Lord Robinson of corrosive complacency in the time that we're taking to increase defence spending. And for all the government are saying, Rachel Reeves is apparently proposing to increase defence by just 10 billion over 4 years, so 2.5 billion a year. The government did, however, manage to find 3.5 billion to lift the two-child benefit cap. So I think that criticism from Lord Robinson when he said we cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget is pretty much on the point. And worth saying, too, that other European countries, I was at the Munich Security Conference, are expanding their defence spending at a much quicker rate, spending much more and much faster. And we are now in the bottom bracket. Munich Security Conference, we are now bracketed as a fiscally strained low spender along with countries like Spain. That is the reality of it.
OK, Catherine, thank you very much.
Well, a major grooming gangs investigation in Hull has been closed with no charges, despite years of work and dozens of arrests.
Yes, Humberside police say that every line of inquiry has been explored, even after the case was reopened with specialist support.
Well, to talk about this now, GB News national reporter Charlie Peters. Charlie, tell us about this story.
Well, let's go to the start. In 2019, 5 women made these allegations in Hull about the grooming and sexual abuse that they had endured. The details are truly horrific in what's since come to light. That investigation ran for 2 years. It was called Operation Marksman. And despite making dozens of arrests and reviewing over 200 devices, that was closed with no charges. It was then revealed by another channel that that investigation had taken place, and it was reopened with support from the Hydrant programme, which is the National Police Chiefs Council main specialist support section for CSE investigations. They gave it an additional £500,000, and Humberside Police said that it was a priority for the force, and that in 2022, when it reopened, that it would be a major investigation for them. It was then revealed, actually 2 years later, that some of the forces, despite that claims of it being a priority, were taken away from it and brought on to investigating the riots in the August of 2024, and then the Hull funeral parlour investigation. So it was called called Operation Marksman, that was shut, and then Operation Conference. We learned over the weekend at GB News that it had also now been shut again. The same investigation, twice closed with no charges after years of work. And at the heart of this, there will be at least 5 women, many of whom were abused as teenagers, who will now be facing the prospect of no further action after 2 events of having to trust the police. There is hope for them, though, because the National Inquiry opened formally its work on Monday this week. And after 2 failed investigations, there are now questions saying, will Hull be one of the towns and cities selected by the team and the National Inquiry to review what's happened there? Humberside Police told me in a statement yesterday they pursued every line of inquiry and that they very much stand with the victims here.
Yeah, shocking stuff, Charlie. Shocking stuff. I really hope those victims get the justice they deserve.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for bringing us that story, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie. Well, new details have been revealed about the King's upcoming state visit to the US. We're going to tell you more about that next with Cameron Walker.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
How does she say it? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
All right, look, we've got a great British giveaway now, and it's your chance to win 25 grand tax-free cash and a 4-berth motorhome. Here's all the details.
Make sure you don't miss out on your chance to win big. One guaranteed winner will drive away with a brand new 4-berth Benivan 122 camper van, just in time for summer. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this stylish home from home comes with all of the features you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £67,000. Alloy wheels, solar panel and pop-top bunks for an optional sleeping area. You'll also get an additional £25,000 in tax-free cash. Our next winner really could be you. So secure your place in the draw today. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck, yes. Now, new details have been revealed about the King's state visit to the US at the end of the month. Joining us now is GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker. Morning to you, Cameron. What will the King and Queen be up to in the US?
Good morning, Ellie and Alex. Well, it is a jam-packed 3-day schedule at the end of the month for the King and Queen's state visit to the US, spanning Washington, D.C., New York City and Virginia as well for some rural engagement. A new word I've learned over the last 24 hours is semi-quincentennial, meaning 250, because, of course, the whole point of King Charles going there is to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Confederation of the United States of America. That is primarily why President Trump has invited King Charles to the White House. There's going to be a private tea. There's going to be a state dinner at the White House as well. There's also going to be, quite poignantly, the King and Queen going to New York City to commemorate the 9/11 memorial there, 25 years, of course, since that tragic terror attack in New York City and other points as well. But there is a big elephant in the room, really, and that is the relationship between President Trump and Prime Minister Keir Starmer, arguably at an all-time low. Now, President Trump was asked about that relationship last night and asked if it was going to overshadow these state visits to the United Kingdom. President Trump said not at all, but then he went on to criticise Keir Starmer further, particularly around the immigration policies. Of course, over the last couple of weeks, we have seen President Trump really criticise Starmer when it comes to his response over the Iran war. He's likened our own warships to toys compared to the United States of America. And of course, King Charles is head of our armed forces, but the King is there really to exercise his soft power. Could King Charles really be Prime Minister Starmer's last chance, or one of the last chances, to strengthen or at least kind of make the relationship better between the United States and the United Kingdom? Another headache for King Charles, of course, is the Epstein issue. Survivors of Jeffrey Epstein have called on King Charles to meet them when when he is in the United States. Now, a royal source told me last night that that is not going to be possible, insisting it's not going to be possible, despite US Congressman Ro Khanna saying that the King should meet Epstein victims. The reason being is that it could perhaps prejudice any future criminal investigations. And the last thing the King and Queen want to do is deny justice to victims of or survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse. But the Queen will be meeting more generally, more broadly, when she is in the US, organisations that help and support survivors of sexual abuse. Of course, she is a long-time advocate and supporter of issues such as that. So a whole 3 days to look forward to in a couple of weeks, and I will be there to bring you the very latest.
Thank you so much, Cameron, for bringing that to us.
All right, coming up next here in the studio, Andrew Pearce and Dawn Neeson, Britain's newsroom. What is happening today?
Lots. Right, let's go to the weather. You know, there is lots. We have got a brilliant exclusive with Christopher Hope coming up about how the Prime Minister is spending your money. You won't be happy.
And I think it will be a jaw-dropper.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Bit of an eye-opener.
Stay tuned for that. And, of course, they're closing more migrant hotels and say they're putting people in camps. But are they? Report in the Mail today showing how many of these migrants are ending up in very smart, posh residential areas. Probably near you.
All after the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A messy mix today. It's not as cold out there as yesterday. Certainly across the east you'll notice a milder start. In the east, well, staying largely dry, but rain in the west is moving that way through the day. Some heavy bursts this morning for Pembrokeshire, Devon, Cornwall. That'll push its way across Northern Ireland into western Scotland. A few showers in the eastern areas, but much of eastern England I think will stay dry until later on. That rain creeping into northwest England, the Midlands and more central parts of southern England this afternoon. Either side, it should brighten up. Quite cloudy out there this morning. We may see some sunny spells and quite mild in the east. Could get to 18 degrees in a few spots if the sun does come out. It is quite blustery and gusty though, so it certainly doesn't feel all that mild when this rain band does come in. And it will get into the southeast and East Anglia as we go through this evening's rush hour. Further west, something a bit brighter, but a few blustery showers zipping in on a fairly brisk wind, which will bring a fair few showers to Northern Ireland. Some heavy ones here, the chance of the odd rumble of thunder. Same goes for western Scotland. Some heavy downpours likely here come the end of the day as that weather front moves its way up across northeastern Scotland, tending to fizzle out as it does so. Clearer skies then follow for many during the first half of the night at least, but look at the showers still coming in across Northern Ireland and most of Scotland. Showers too for parts of Wales and western England through the second half of the night, but much of the east will stay dry. And again, a pretty mild night, certainly a lot warmer than nights earlier in the week. On to tomorrow morning, and again, it's a fairly grey start. Again, there'll be quite a few showers through the day.